I met a gypsy.
All right, so we got Filthy Phil Nicoletti and Ben Schiermeyer in the building. Phil Nicoletti is actually breaking his Pulp MX contract to do this, so I appreciate the fallout that's going to happen as a result of becoming a trader. So I appreciate it. Welcome.
Yeah. I checked in with him, made sure, I got a release signed and everything, so it's okay. I got a day pass.
He let you out of the gimp mask that he makes you wear.
A little bit of a hall pass, so he's cool with it.
So you got I just imagine Phil in his dungeon, and then it's anytime he's in studio, he just takes the mask off his face.
Yeah.
Takes the leather off his head.
That's definitely you, Phil.
Is that where the Filthy Phil nickname come from? Because you live in Steve's basement?
I guess the nickname came from him, so I don't know. It just kind of fucking stuck, and more people call me Filthy than Phil's, and it's all right. I'll run with it.
Yeah, I like it.
You've had it forever.
I have had it forever, pretty much since. Yeah, Steve started his deal whenever in 2011 when I met him, and then he just kind of called me Filthy Phil, and I just stuck.
Well, you're here, mate, and in Oz again. You've been a bit of a mainstay in Oz. I was actually thinking about it before. Well, obviously, we started talking about you coming and doing this, and I was like, dude, Phil's just being around in Oz. You were riding for TC for a while. I think I was in America when you were doing that, so we never really crossed paths while you were on that team.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Sure.
Yeah, I met TC through when I was doing a privateer gig in 2010, and it was just a bad year. And the following year, I was just going to do privateer again, making no money or whatever, living in a fifth wheel with a couple dudes, just trying to make it. And TC hit me up. He's like, "Hey, you want to come to Oz? Make some money and this and that." I packed my bags. The next fucking day, I was over here.
He's a good dude. I feel like he fits your vibe.
Yeah, he was cool. Kind of rugged dude, doesn't give a fuck, just kind of runs amok. And and it was just it's fun. I had a blast. So. Got deported from here, from you guys. Yeah, I don't know how fugitives deport me, but since you guys are a bunch of convicts. But
I got deported, so we're even.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, we don't have to go.
So it's kind of a bummer deal because I was gonna plan on coming back.
Yeah, right.
But
so what happened? How'd that go down?
No, I just had a contract through Monster at that time, and during that period, Cowie's deal was to do my sporting visa or whatever. I came on a touring visa. I was here for 3 months, and during the time Cowie was supposed to handle it. Nothing got handled, but I was just a 20-year-old kid, 21 maybe, so I really didn't do my due diligence to follow up on it. Probably should have. A bit irresponsible, but
when you're 21.
So after 8 months of being here illegally, I went to leave Brisbane to head back to LA, and they're like, "Yeah, you're supposed to leave fucking 5 months ago." And
I'm
like,
here a minute, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what do you mean? They're just like, yeah, we're stamping your passport. You're banned 7 years. I'm like, wait, I've paid my taxes here. I've done everything here, my contracts, and
wow,
they didn't care.
So it was 7 years.
7 years.
No shit.
Yep. And I tried to appeal it twice, got denied, and I'm like, fuck it.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, so it is what it is. It's the way it is.
So you in another universe, you didn't get deported. You got a sport visa, and you just ended up riding in Oz for a few years.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I was going. You know what I mean? There was kind of hard to make money in the States. I wasn't really that good yet or that developed, so it's kind of like an outlet to come down here, make decent money, and I was kind of getting paid US as well, so it worked out, and just like the rest of my life, it came crumbling down. So I was like, fuck, and then one thing led to another, and that led to 11-10 and just another kind of shitstorm, which kind of turns out to be a cool story, and where I met Amar, and it's just like, it's weird how the paths all kind of link up when you look back to the past 10 years. It's fucking wild.
Well, I mean, I had a situation at LAX, and then I ended up having to basically not go to America anymore, because that's sort of where I saw my career and where I was, and it's funny, at the time, dude, I literally thought my life was over, and you feel that in the moment, but it ended up, if that never happened, I mean, I would have probably still done the podcast, but I think I don't know. Maybe there's just something was meant to be about it being here, and then COVID happened. I got stuck here, and then, you know, so
it's weird how the stars align for that stuff. You know, it's hard to see.
Maybe it's like the thing that was the worst ends up being the best.
Doesn't always make sense in the moment, but
it
comes around.
Oh man, 100%.
Or it's any way you have to try and fucking justify it to yourself to have it make sense. You know. I don't know, but it's wild. I don't know.
So the first time we met. This is fucking so funny. You didn't actually remember this. So we were filming some Red Bull shit at the Martins, and it was like the day after Millville. And I actually never realized how cool the Martin brothers were. And I don't think, well, maybe now with like their YouTube stuff, people realize how dope those two dudes are.
I think they're losers, but it's
You think everyone's a loser?
Yeah, that's true. Me included.
But we were there after the national, and then Phil's there, and they're getting ready to go on a mountain bike, and we're doing like our film guy thing. We're filming all the prep. We had like the side by side, so we're up on the track. We're filming them fucking riding up like up the hills there and shit, and then. He is just complaining like the entire time, like gnarly, dude. And then he comes back and he's like, fuck these guys, fuck this shit. I don't want to be a fucking racer anymore. Like, it was so brutal. So that he's like midway, has like this huge depression session, pedals off again, and then comes back like 5 minutes later with just fucking blood all over his face because he's gone over the bars.
That happened this weekend too.
Yes, it did. It did.
Same turn of events.
Yeah, fuck, yeah, back then it was O show program, so it's like no matter
and they loved it.
They loved it. I deep down, I loved it too. No matter what, it was 2.5 to 3 hours a day bicycling after we did 240s and after nationals and 3,000 feet of climb, and it's just like that's how it was. Hammer. It's the only way to get fitter. You know, kind of a dumb approach, but it made me learn what the pain cave was, you know? And I've always trained with Alex up to that point, but Germa was always on another level. He's always a mutant, but it was always, you know, Germa, Osho, me, and then fucking me bringing up the coattails way in the back. But that day was bad. I remember split my helmet in half, was bleeding down the face. I was like, fuck this. This is a Sunday after the national, or maybe even a Monday.
I think it was Monday. Yeah. We had like there was one day off, and then
I was still wrecked from the weekend, and we're just out there grinding, doing 3 hours, and the hills of Millville are fucking vertical. You know, no, you can't. You can't. And TV does no justice. People have no idea. But they had a little 12-mile trail that they made out through there, and it was miserable. Millville's got this shit called itchweed, and you go out there and it gets on you, and you're on a bicycle and you're just scratching the shit out of yourself. I hated it, but it was still a good time. Makes for good memories. You know?
Dude,
I should have quit back then too while I was at it.
What'd you do, crash?
I came down right before where the finish line is now.
Yeah,
I hit like a rain rut or a rock, and I just fucking cartwheeled my brains out, you know, laying there looking through the valley.
That was one of those days where I was just like glad to be a filmer.
Yeah.
And the gnarliest thing too was there was no water on the track. Like, they didn't even bother watering the track. The track was the biggest piece of shit, and they just fucking loved it. Like, they were living for it. They were both excited to do it. And I was like, you guys are actually animals, and like in no way, shape, or form do I have any pretenses that like in another life I could be those guys. Like, it's just not. That's not for me.
People don't understand, but Germa is actually, if he wanted to be, if he dedicated time, he could be almost a UCI mountain biker. Like he's got, you know, the VO2 for it, he's got the lactate for it. Like he's built for it. He doesn't look like it, but he's unbelievable athlete fitness wise. So I mean, proves in motocross, but in Amort's not far off. But I've had some good times with those boys, and Osho as well. Just fucking meatheads. That's all there is to it.
They're savage, dude. Like the roast that went down through that day. It's like hectic. Like, you got to be a gnarly dude just to be around those guys in those moments.
And it was cool because us three have completely different personalities, and somehow we, you know, blend together. It's weird. So those two are kind of, you know, Amort, Germ and I kind of had some beef for a couple of years where we really didn't talk to each other, but Amort's basically like my twin brother, you know. So yeah, it's cool. Just fucking stories that'll last a lifetime, you know. So,
What was it between you and Germ that made it like that?
it was more just life decisions at that point in time that he was making, you know, with personal stuff. I was just like, dude, and his brother was just like, listen, he's my brother, you know, blood's thicker than water, which is cool. You know, I get that, but it was just like, you know, personal stuff with chicks or whatever it was.
I'm sensing tits.
Yeah.
For some reason, I'm getting tit
it was
vibes
just like,
and tits.
I'm like, dude, I can't handle it. Yeah, I don't want to be around that sort of stuff. I'm like, I'm just that type of person. I'll just fucking cut ties, whether you're my mate or not. But in the end, it all worked out anyway. So
yeah. Fuck, I've had that with so many boys. Like, I never will talk about it on here. But there's like so many boys. But I've had guys that like I speak to now, we're boys again. But it's like you have 2 years where you just don't talk to them, and you're just like, hey, dude,
everyone has those fucking stories. You know, it's just the way it is. It's the only thing to get in between boys is
girls.
That's it. Only thing that can take a guy down, a chick. You know, I mean, shoot. So it is what it is.
Someone said something to me that was fucking. There's nothing better than a good one and nothing worse than a bad one. And it's like so...
That is the truth.
It's the most simple saying ever,
yeah.
But it's the fucking most true saying ever.
Yeah. No, it's the only thing I know to take down motocrossers, chicks and drugs. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, like there's like no in between. There's no in between. It's one or the other. So.
Or both at the same time.
Yeah, or both. Yeah. Fucking double whammy.
Oh, which happens. Wait, can you turn Phil's mic up a tiny bit? I want to hear that sweet, sweet accent.
That sweet New York accent.
It blends New York and Southern charm, I guess I got now. I've been in Charlotte for so long now, so I'm not really from New York. I still got a New York driver's license, but...
Charlotte's a place that I really want to get to. Like when hopefully I'll be back in the States like kind of early next year, I think. Like I'm going through the process of like all the visas and shit like that. But yeah, North Carolina seems like it's the new hotbed. Like even the Deegans are there.
Yeah, it's got to stop and get all these fucking people flocking there. You know,
is that you can see it happening? Like it's like a new wave.
It's unreal.
I've been there since 2011, and it's grown. It's like doubled in size where we live.
Really?
Yeah,
it's mental.
Because of Wygant, you reckon?
Yeah, for sure.
Because of Weege.
Definitely because of Weege. You know?
He's such a celeb.
He is.
He brings the people.
And he's good at what he does.
He actually is the best at what he does.
He's one hell of a broadcaster. Just knows the ins and outs, knows all the fucking nitty gritty on what goes on, you know? And he does it in the right way to where, like, he doesn't properly blow anybody out, you know what I mean? So he pick and chooses the battles. So Weege is one of my good friends as well. So, and Ben's is, so it's cool. See his success and stuff. I'm hoping it would be awesome to see him do the Supercross side of things if it does kind of go that way. I don't know how that lines up with their views, but would be badass.
He's been trying for a while.
Yeah, they should.
I think so too.
I mean, he's a perfect sport, you know, analytic for us or analyst or whatever the fuck you call it. But I don't think there's anyone better. You know, just knows the history, knows what's going on at amateurs. Like, where else do you get that from? You know, so I respect that.
And he's a good time.
Yeah, and he is a good time.
He's one of my favorite people over there. One of the guys, like, I mean, it's funny, like, there's so many people that I've met since Gypsy Tales, where it was like, oh, nice to meet you. I mean, even with you the other day, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, he's one of those guys, like, he's known me since, like, day, like, I'd never get that, you know, with him. He's just such, like, a solid dude since all the way back then. And I think that maybe now with this whole pro motocross feld, like they're joining up, it kind of makes sense to have like one voice for the sport,
for the whole entire thing. You know what I mean? Instead of splitting them, you know. Yeah, like I agree. And for me with Weege, it was always same with Steve. He always gave me a voice, you know, when I didn't really have one, and never kind of changed my, you know, the way I saw things, you know. Never made me try and be politically correct or whatever. So I could always kind of run a fucking tangent and do what I wanted to do. So, and I respect that. So
I think that's probably one of the cool things with you, like in terms of you haven't won championships, you haven't really won a lot of races, you haven't like in terms of if you just looked at purely the numbers, it probably doesn't make sense that you've got the platform that you've got. But in terms of just like being a dude that has an opinion and then integrity when you do say your opinion, like you've got a pretty dope voice in the sport, and it is because of those guys.
No, 100%. And it's hard because when I was a kid growing up, you know, 15 to 20, I was kind of still same person as I am now, but people just kind of consider you as an arrogant prick, you know what I mean? So, and I kind of had run-ins with team managers and stuff when I was a rookie because of that, but over time I never changed who I was. And then you meet people like Steve and Weege who kind of embrace how you are and kind of give you that voice or whatever, like you do for people now. It's just kind of, and people, I don't know, gel with that better, you know what I mean?
Big
Instead
time,
of
dude.
fucking the normal blah 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 yada yada, you know, it's just, that's not real life to me anyway, you know. So I think it's pretty badass, but I do wish I won some fucking races at least, you know.
That's on you, bro.
You know, yeah, I know. Yeah, we got a ways to go on that one, but yeah, I mean, it's still done my part. I feel like a little bit, you know, good races here and there and championships and stuff, and you know, kind of somewhat been in the hunt, but yeah, it's.
But I like the fact that, like, for me, and I've always said this, the sport kind of has to get to a point where someone like you can be making a good living and not be winning races. Like, there's 40 dudes on any Supercross night and 2 of them win. So it's like, and then you've got 4 other podium places. And if the sport only cares about those dudes, the sport sucks.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like we kind of need to get to a place where a guy like you that is out there every weekend has made a career. You've seen so much shit, like you know, the Martin Brothers stories and like everything that you've been through and racing around the world. Like, you should have a legitimate voice in the sport.
100%. And I think that's what's cool about your guys' shows is it brings out that sort of stuff. So, and people connect with it and sponsors see that, and it's just like, that has a value. And it's I myself still want to do really good racing, which I still think I do, but you know, off the track and other stuff, like, people want to see that almost sometimes more than what the fuck really goes on the track, you know? So it's a double-edged sword though, because you still need both, you know? You need to have the off the track, and you still need to have the results, because if you don't, you're fucking dead in the water. You know?
So let's talk about World Supercross. What was your impression of the weekend? I personally had a great weekend. I've been pedaling the bike. People think I've been being paid by World Supercross. I'm not. But I had a fucking sick weekend. I think I've been to a lot of Supercross races. That one was a fun one to be at.
For me, the event is awesome. I love the event. The vibe, the cool, you know. For me, racing, I didn't like the racing. The racing tracks are too basic. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry can go fast. There's not much separation. Just
too many 90s as well.
Yeah.
That was
just not only
short start straight.
Yeah, short start rate. No berms. You can't turn in and out of anything. You just, nothing really develops. And I'm in the 250 class, so it's just like a yard sale.
Chaos.
Legit chaos. You know, 4 wide off jumps and people going left, right, and center. I'm like, listen, I'm too old to be dealing with this sort of shit. Like, you watch the 450 guys, they had pileups in the first corners, somewhat intentionally, but
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Bookmark that. Let's come back to it.
Some intentionally, but they all just form in, and you know, they go into the second corner and they're not fucking ass packing each other. Where the 250 class is just like, dude, they're trying to thread needles where you can't thread. You know? And
square hole round.
Yeah. It's just like the 450 guys kind of wait and let things settle in, and I appreciate that, and I miss that in the 450 class. You know, when I was doing Supercross, the 250 class is just like I said.
Well, you only have 6 laps, and it's
but 6 laps. Everyone's going to make the same amount of money. You know what I mean? From 7th to 15th, I think the difference is $400. It's not worth trying to kill somebody cross jumping off metal ramps and shit. You know, it's just like just wait 2 laps, let it come to your own. You know, But as far as the event, the way everything's run, fuck, I had a blast.
Yeah.
It was rad. It was cool to go to Cardiff, see all the fans, come to Melbourne, see all the fans here. I respect the series, and I respect it in the sense because it brings competition and it raises the bar for any part of the world that you're in racing, whether it's the U.S., Europe, or worldwide.
Yeah. Ben, what did you think about the weekend?
Yeah, the event was good.
Yeah.
It was run good. Unfortunately, like the MDK team, we lost all our riders.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
That wasn't ideal. There was a lot of weird crashes and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of flat tires.
Derek's crash was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, he got a flat tire and spun off the dragon and then shot off the side.
Yeah.
But as far as the event was good. Those guys were good to work with. They were open to suggestions and changes, and they did make some adjustments between the 2 rounds. So I think there's definitely good potential there.
Yeah.
And just that, I mean, I don't know if you guys ever talked on this on other stuff, but they have this thing called the Stack app. It's like, you know, for the whole paddock, basically, is what it's for. And everything that gets put out series-wise goes on this app. So every rider, every team manager, mechanic, they get it. Everyone gets it at the same time. So it's kind of on you if you don't hear about something, because no matter what, it's on that app. You just got to look for it, type it in, and boom, it's there. I wish kind of the States had that same sort of thing where you don't have to call somebody, you don't have to email
you're not
someone.
relying on somebody else.
Yeah, it's just like you can kind of take your own initiative and find out what the fuck's going on. So that was pretty rad, you know, like all the way down to the after party Saturday night. You know what I mean? Location, where it's at, time, you know, when the free drinks run out. You know, it's all on there. So that was cool. Makes it easy. Yeah,
I think it's definitely like different, you know, and I think a lot of people, another thing to maybe address as well, that like because I just get fucking thousands and thousands of comments, and I do my best to like read, because I just want to gauge. I want to know what people think about shit. Like, I've got my own opinions, and then I try to not be swayed by the crowd. Yeah. But it's like, at the same time, I still want to know what the crowd thinks, because
they pay the bills, though. The crowd pays the bills. That's where
for
it's
sure.
at,
But
so.
I mean, they might be getting stuff wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they might have, like, we got more information than what the average punter has. I can't believe how many people are actually insanely knowledgeable at running a World Series. There's just all these people that don't even have fucking pictures on their on their YouTube.
They've never worked on a motorcycle a day in their life.
They're fucking experts in international racing.
Track building and dealing with stadiums and when dirt can get hauled in. It's just like, dude, the stuff that goes on behind the scenes of it is fucking wild. I don't even know how any of it even makes sense, to be honest with you, but it's crazy.
The turnout looked good. I didn't hear a number, did you?
So 20,000 Friday night, which is like crazy, because that's just a domestic, that's an Aussie championship, and that was great racing, dude. Like that 450 main, Aaron Taney and JB.
That was a really good race.
Through them in the heat and then the main as well.
It was
like
good.
That was dope.
Was good.
When Taney went through the mechanics area there.
And then he pushed JB off the fucking track at one point as well. Like,
he was riding well.
If those whoops were normal whoops, Tanty would not be
alive.
Wouldn't be alive.
Can you imagine if they re-racked the gate? Like, if there was another race on and they'd re-racked the gate, dude. Like, you're getting fucking...
Oh, yes.
You're getting airborne, bro.
Adios, amigo. Yeah, that would have been bad. They actually had that happen one time at Montreal Supercross a couple of years ago. They had these side-by-sides, and they had the gate up. The side-by-side came, drifted a little wide, fucking mowed the gate over. It was wild. So, yeah, it's kind of a good call that they didn't.
Yeah, KB almost got murdered by that thing. She was standing like...
That's right.
Her eyes must have been like a deer in the headlights.
Dude, you don't want... She ain't built for a 450.
Nobody is when they're not in gear.
Dude, I got... My first ever national filming was 2007 or 8. And it was the time that Chad Reed came back and... Chad Reed, said that like a fan. It was the time Chad came back and did the national in Newcastle, and it was like a full mutter. Daryl Hurley got the whole shot, didn't break, and then fucking cleaned me out, dude. And I'm like standing there, I was like 18 with my video camera, and I did a straight front flip over him, fucking landed, and it was like I was getting thrown in a pool with my phone.
And
I'm like
trying to save
save my camera.
It's like falling with your beer and you just save the beer, you know?
And then he ended up signing his front plate for me and gave me the front plate. And it's still in my dad's shed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you just don't want that happening too many times in
your
career.
No.
Didn't you land on Garth at High Point?
I did land on Garth.
Dude, I was going to say Garth has had like a gnarly one.
I fucking crushed Garth.
Yeah.
I went down in it was so bad. I couldn't even race after. I was wrecked. I went down in the first corner and someone ran over my front brake caliper, and somehow it spun my front brake disc guard, right?
Yeah. And it pushed and it kept the caliper pushed over, so you had no front brakes.
Yeah, so and I came down the hill after High Point, and there's an inside roll, and I come down wide glide because I'm going batshit crazy, and I fucking went to pull my front brake in, not there, and front brake does 70% of your fucking stopping. I hit this fucking single, endoed, launched off the berm, and then dude Garth's there just fucking looking the other way. And I got my
skid plate to the
yeah,
back
I
of
got
the
my
head.
JGR 450 wide open, and then last second he just looks and I fucking crushed him. He went out on the medic and
Yeah, it kind of fucked him up.
yeah, it was a little bit. And then I'm like, dude, I was wrecked. I couldn't even ride. His fucking credential was hanging on my titanium foot peg, which is like a bear trap.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
I was just like, dang. I'm like,
Dude, his name actually does not get brought up enough on this podcast.
Ah,
Not
he's
enough people
awesome.
know how much of a badass
He's
motherfucker
awesome.
Garth Milan is.
him and Swanberg are just fucking,
Jeez.
yeah, awesome.
Straight
They are so good,
G's.
so good at what they do.
Yeah.
You know, like they just know how to get the hang. They've been around the game for a long time. Doesn't matter what sport or whatever they do. They're awesome.
Dude,
you know?
Garth as well. So like, I actually, because of all the Red Bull filming that I did,
Mm-hmm.
so he was pretty much the photographer on any of like the bigger stuff
Mm-hmm.
that we would do. So I got to spend so much time with him in the time that I was living there, and god damn, he's just one of the best dudes of all time.
Yeah, him and how do you pronounce this company? Starts with an O.
Octopi?
Yeah, Octopi. Yeah,
yeah,
I think they're the best.
yeah.
They are. So I don't know how they do it though. They're just
Animals, bro.
week after week. They're
Yeah.
just fucking grinding.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do that. Walk around races, taking pictures. Oh fuck.
They just love it though, man. You know, like, but some of the shit that I think in jobs like that, some of the shit that he's captured is just history.
Yep.
Like there's
Yeah,
just
for
no
sure.
one.
Yeah, no one's-
Those photos will
no,
just never.
no.
They'll
He's-
never die. You
No,
know,
he's one of the all-time greats of it. You
like
know?
the scrub when we did that. I did like that super slow mo shit of James scrubbing. That's on the Suzuki.
At his
And-
house there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so Garth got all those
Yeah.
pictures.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
just like time, like that shit.
No,
like
they're
James
used
can't.
for every no.
Yeah, you know.
That's all-time photos.
But
you
yeah,
know?
so getting back to the Soupy thing, the one thing that people are saying that's just like my ultimate kind of piss off at this point is like, well, it's 2 rounds, you can't call a World Series. And it's just like, okay, so what do you call it?
Yeah.
Like, what are we supposed?
I mean,
what are we supposed to call it?
Yeah.
Like, I get the point, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like we can't call it another thing. Do we call it it's not a world? It's almost a world championship, or it will be a world championship next year.
Yeah, it's almost to me. It's got like exhibition type vibes to it at the moment, you know, just because it is 2 rounds, you know. So I get the flaw of calling it a world championship. Even the guys winning it, I think,
Yeah.
laugh at calling it a world championship, but it's got to fucking start somewhere.
That's
Yeah.
kind of the point, you know.
What I mean? Like
Rome
they-
wasn't built overnight,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Like they got to work the fucking kinks out, and I think for the first 2 races, for the way everything was run, I think it was good. You know, yeah, maybe broadcast wise, it was kind of cheesy, and the onboard cameras fucking sucked. But
I heard people bitching about the broadcast, but I didn't really personally watch it, so I can't
yeah,
say
like
on that.
it'll all get better. It's the first time it's really going down. You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah.
think AMA, and you know, you look at the AMA outdoors. We had the greatest championships ever this year, and you could hardly watch it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
And
just
they've
like
been running that shit for fucking 50
Yeah.
years.
years. You know, yeah, and it's kind of like, you know, in Supercross too, it's got you know, it's been around for years, a lot more money behind it, and they work out the kinks. So, next year, I would assume it would be better. You know, they can't make a whole lot of changes within 2 weeks when they got to ship shit around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of fucking cut and dry. Run the 2, work the kinks out later over the off season, figure it out.
Yeah, and then I think there's just like nothing you can call it, you know, like because for their marketing for next year, so like those 2 rounds, they had hundreds of cameramen there, you know, and that's one thing that these guys do better than anyone else from the OzX race. I mean, you've been over here so many times to like those OzX races, so it's like that one thing they do better than anyone else is like tell the story.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think people need to just wait. Essentially, just like shut the fuck up for a little minute
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
wait
yeah,
for
yeah.
like
Yeah.
this was the pilot season,
Yeah.
and then it's like you shouldn't shit on something that's like building,
Yeah.
because next year, like if they don't call it a world championship this year and they don't have the world championship trophy and all that footage, they can't then use for next year.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
it's like it's going to be 8 to 10 rounds next year. Like there's probably going to be a couple rounds in the Middle East, Japan, through Europe, one round in Australia. Like it's about as legit of a world championship that you can get. So it's like if they don't call it that this year, then they can't use it for next year. Yep. So then it's not a world championship. They don't have any assets until year 3. It's like, hey guys, you just all got to chill and just see that like this is like we're throwing the ball down the field and the receiver's running and like next year they're going to catch the ball and score the touchdown.
You got to start somewhere.
100%.
The only downfall that I have or I see is how do you, because all the teams made money. They made money this year. Made quite a bit of money for 2 rounds. I get that. But next year the money's not the same. Yeah. Well, if they do 8 to 10 rounds and they want to pay riders and do all this sort of stuff, like I'm just talking from a business team's point, how are they going to pay? How can a team sell the World Supercross to a sponsor? That's going to be a kicker, because still it's going to be $1 million for a team to run World Supercross. You want guys like Ken and this and that.
Yeah.
And the series can't pay guys like that technically anymore, you know, to bring attention. How are teams going to afford a guy like that?
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
The problem right now is that there's no info for next year. So how do you go sell sponsorship to somebody right now?
Yeah, it's going to be tough
with nothing on paper.
Yeah. I think that next year they're still going to have to support the like teams. I don't think that they can just be like, righto, the pilot season's done.
No,
like, we're pulling back.
But they locked in the teams when they signed their contract, because you know it's like a charter system. You probably know a bit more about.
Yeah.
I mean, I know quite a bit about it just because I am tight with the guys at club and I'm tight with a couple other team owners as well.
Yeah.
You know, they make every year they make a set amount of money, but each year it goes down for 4 years or whatever. And next year's not as much as it was this year. So. And you can't run a race team on the money that was given, and especially if you want good guys, you know, and to pay good mechanics to go. That logic is a bit flawed, you know, in my opinion. I don't know how they're going to do that, and how a team goes and sells a World Supercross for $1 million title sponsor, if they even can get that. I don't know if they can even sell for $200,000.
Yeah,
it's quite tough at the moment. So it's going to be there's going to be some serious talks about that. So.
Yeah. No, hey, I agree. Like, I definitely don't think it's like fully. I don't think everyone's out of the woods. Like, I think there's a lot of people that still need to work on some shit. I think the thing that we're all very used to dipping into the same pie, though.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But I think that it's sort of with this now, like, you can kind of. So, like, the thing, and Peter Adderton was in here yesterday, and he's a guy that owns, like, a fucking crazy company. Like, he knows that, you know,
he knows a thing or two about business.
Yeah, and like he said, you know, you've now got this global series, so now you get global budgets. And I think, so you look at a guy like Kenny, right? So it's US Red Bull. So, like, that's where he gets his money from. And maybe he gets money from other places. Like, I don't know his Red Bull deal. But you look at a guy like Jack Miller, or you look at Fabio Quartararo, or you look at Valentino Rossi, like Lewis Hamilton. So they're pulling for those riders' sign-ons from every single monster budget around the world.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, like, that's where I think it's like, I know what you're saying, but we're also now playing in like a different kind of a different field in a sense. And so like, and that's kind of been one of the frustrations for me, is that people are like shutting it down based off that kind of thinking of like, well, Club MX is like this fucking local team that's run out of, you know, like North Carolina, wherever you guys are. And it's like, okay, well, the world's way bigger than that. And if you start to get like a, you know, like a Petronas, they're not just in America or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the...
worldwide.
Yeah. So there's like companies that are worldwide companies. And then all of a sudden you need $1 million, then you're only pulling $100,000 from 10 different regions. So it's like, it's just a different ball game. And you're right. Like, they need to lock in the dates, and they need to kind of lock that in. But I think that as we go forward, you're starting to pull from a lot of different markets, and you've got, if Ken goes to all these different companies as a Red Bull athlete, then I think you can start to ask Red Bull in those countries for that money.
See,
you know?
Yeah, which is, so me and Ben, so I was with JGR for 5 years, long time. They were like family, Coy and J-Bone and all those guys, and it was awesome. And Ben was there for a long time as well. On the sponsor side, you know, for people that don't know, Joe Gibbs Racing is one of the biggest, massive companies for NASCAR. Like, they deal with millions and millions and millions of dollars. For them, and Ben can attest, it was hard for them to even get a company to sponsor a cup race for, you know, for a certain amount of money, and they get the motocross team for free. You know, they didn't even want it. You know, so it's like, how can you? I mean, and that's for the U.S. You know, 300 million people, and now we're going to try and do that globally. You know, like, I don't know. It seems kind of crazy. You know?
Yeah, it is.
Like, and they got people working on sponsorships all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why everyone tries to cut from the same cloth with sponsorships and stuff, because it's hard to go out and sell to a mainstream company, CEO, pitch them, you know, dirt bike racing.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's hard because our sport is one of the baddest in the world.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sell it.
Dude, Raha brought up a cool point today, which I kind of hadn't really thought about either. I just think that, and what he thinks, and I kind of agreed with what he was saying, is that, like, golf is kind of lame. And everyone, you know, like a lot
but
of
everyone
people,
goes and does it. Like,
but why? Because the top guys are getting paid millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, and you wanna watch the final hole of a golf tournament because that putt's worth like $3, $4, $5 million, and people know that. You know what I mean? People are like kind of tuned in. They know that the stakes are high, and I think that one of the things that Colby was saying, which was actually kind of cool, is like, moto dudes, it looks like a fucking carnival. You know, it just looks, it's hard to sort of know what it is. And then you're like, oh, so what are these guys getting paid? And it's like, that dude Phil Nicoletti, he's like one of the baddest motherfuckers alive. Like, he's probably getting, like, maybe if he gets $100,000 out of this series, like, he's cheering.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, there's people that do podcasts about the sport, and, you know, fucking journalists that make more money than most of the riders.
No, 100%.
So it's just like, something's fucked up. Something's fucked up in that lane when you've got essentially journalists that would be making more money than the riders that they're covering. And then you tell the people that the riders still have to pay their entry fee. It's like so I just think, like, the whole economics of the sport, it needs a really massive shake up.
Yeah, and I don't even know how we get on this tangent, but it's all the top guys, the Reedies, the Kennys, Carmichaels, Wyndhams, those guys, it's not the Phil Nicolettis that are the spokespeople. I'll say it because I don't care, but you need those guys to get together to change anything. You know, like, they're the people that have the voice, that have done something to actually make the change in the sport.
But no one will get together.
No one will ever get together on it.
Yeah.
No one, and it's a shame. But you need, you know, the RVs, the Dungeys to be like, all right, fuck it, it's enough. You know, just for the next kids coming up in the next 15 years. Like, yeah, I get it. They've made their money. You know what I mean? So do something to help the sport grow. Make it global. You know, turn it into it so people can get paid and not have to, you know, you can get down a rabbit hole with it all, but those are the people that need to help get the shit changed.
Yeah, dude. And I think that it's like it's always been taboo to talk about it. And then... And then you get the people, and I wonder too if, like, because realistically, moto it's like the third world country of motorsports. You know what I mean? It's like, I come from nothing. Yeah. Like, I'm not you come from nothing. You know, we're not. It's not like a rich kid sport.
No.
And then I think that there's also a point where even guys like you never hear guys talk about how much money they make. No one ever hears about the contracts. No one ever hears about the big deals. And then there's almost a point where they use the example with Colby of Kenny pulling up to the press conference in that crazy Honda and the suit and then a Breitling watch, and then people are like shitting on him. And it's like, hey, wait a second, why shouldn't he be rich? Like, if you're someone that can do something that nobody else in the world can do, and you're one of those people, you are one of those people that can do something that no one else in the world can do.
I agree.
You should be fucking rich for that. and then it shouldn't be a problem that you're rich for that. It should be inspiring to the kids. Like, look at fucking rappers. No one's mad at rappers because they flash cash around. It's like, it's inspiring for, like, young black kids in the hood that could never even dream of that, you know, by going to university or whatever it is. Then it's just like, you've got these guys, it's like this aspirational thing. And in moto, it seems like as soon as anyone's making a bit of money, then you want to shit on him, and then that makes the guys at the top want to like keep it quiet and drive a truck. Like, dude, Dunge drove the same truck his entire fucking career. It's like people have to hide the money that they're making, and culturally, to me, that seems fucked up. That if those guys feel like they can't dress nice, they feel like they can't have a fucking Rolex. Like a Rolex, by the way, makes you money. So it's like it's not like it's a dumb thing to buy. So it's like we're shitting on like the wrong thing. We shouldn't be shitting on them making money. We should be shitting on them not making money.
It's always hard because, you know, those types of guys, RVs, McGrath, Dunge, Carmichael, they all came from nothing as well. So maybe they just have a different perception on life. You know what I mean? They don't have to kind of ball out or whatever, which I respect it. But I do wish, since they have come from nothing and they've made something in a sport that we all love together, and the next 5 or 12-year-old kid wants to do the same thing, like, why not help change so they can maybe have a faster trajectory to get to where they're at, you know what I mean? Or make it more worthwhile if they are an 8th place 250F guy, you know, in Supercross, to where
that's not worth a whole lot right now.
It's not worth.
Well, you got like a 2-year lifespan.
Yeah.
Like the sport's in that bad of a place where, and this is the other thing where I just didn't get the criticism for World Supercross. Like, you look at the guys that were on the podium. It was Max Anstey, Joey Savacci, and fucking, why am I blanking on who else was up there the other night? Shane McElrath. They got fucked over in their rides this year. So like, what do? Work construction. Baddest motherfuckers in the world. They got to go get a job because there's just not enough seats at a table. And then we've got 40 more seats now at this table, and then we're shitting on this table.
I agree.
What?
Doesn't make any sense, you know? And I think that's the problem. I just don't know. I don't know how to make it work with money wise, you know, for World Supercross and pay. 2 rounds, it's okay. The next 8 to 10, I don't know. I just don't know how it works.
Do you know what the teams are responsible? Sorry, were you going to say something?
I think next year will be the toughest year for World Supercross. If they can get through next year, I think it'll be on a path of going up.
I think they've got enough money in the bank behind them to make sure that we see like 5 years of this shit. And I think that that's kind of what it's going to take, you know? Like, I think that the teams should definitely like want to stand on their own as quick as possible. And then I think that if the WSX guys do their job properly, then it'll be a lot easier for these teams to kind of make that money. But again, it's like we don't need muck off. Like, muck off shouldn't be paying the bills. Or, you know, like a graphics company shouldn't be paying the bills. It shouldn't be Alpine Stars paying the bills. It's like we're going to Cardiff had 35,000 people. Melbourne had 50 over the 55 over the 2 nights. It's like there's a lot of people. There's a lot of exposure coming out of it. I think they'll broadcast like 200 and something countries for the broadcast. Like, it's legit in terms of the platform. I just think we just need to be thinking about different brands, you know, and for the team owners need to be thinking about those different brands. And I don't know, maybe it's up to the World SX. Like, Amazon Web Services sponsored the event.
I saw the sign. I'm like,
crazy.
I was like, isn't that the Amazon logo?
A bunch of people were saying
I was like, what? I mean, which is awesome, you know? I just don't know how, because World Supercross pays the teams. Okay? Then teams can be like, okay, we'll divvy out the money. Well, sometimes the money ain't worth it to go racing. You know, it depends how much the team really wants to pocket. Because if they can't get title sponsorship to make it worthwhile, it doesn't make sense. For me, it made sense to come. I made some money doing it, of course, but it's FXR, it's 60, it's Motorsport, it's all the, you know, sponsors in the sport that actually support me to go racing. That's it. It's not an outside sponsor. You know, if Club didn't want to sign the charter or whatever to come race, we wouldn't be here. You know, but I don't know how Club will do it next year if they can't get more funding, more racing. Because for Muck-Off's standpoint, they wanted to hold off on the World Supercross thing because they didn't really know how it's going to turn out. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for FXR, you know, and Club putting in more money to come, we wouldn't be here. So I don't know. I think there's a bit of a flaw with the concept of the money and stuff like that. It's going to be tough.
And it'll be interesting to see, I guess, just like with the logistics and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, to see like Amazon Web Services on their year one, I'm like, it's pretty fucking cool. You know, that sort of shows that there is like that outside interest. And yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it's like the WSX guys need to kind of like help the teams and like really try and get some sponsors and like place sponsors on a team. Be like, hey club, we've got these guys. Like, you guys take it from here. Like, this is a great team. They're gonna have these riders.
I think that's what's gonna have to happen.
Because it's not like some of these smaller teams just ring up Amazon and be like, hey, we're racing dirt bikes. Sponsor us. Like, they'll be like, who are you?
Yeah. No, and so, that's exactly right. It's like, maybe it can't be up to... Because traditionally, they haven't been able to do it in the past. Like you said, like in the JGR or
just
something
impossible.
Like that.
Yeah, they couldn't... I might have said it wrong when I said it earlier, but
I heard the same shit.
Yeah. Like, they couldn't give away a cup sponsorship to sponsor, a cup race to sponsor outdoors for $300,000 or whatever, know. Or
I think, again, it speaks to just being a domestic series. Because it's like, if you're in NASCAR... Because, like, what companies look at from a sponsorship thing? Like, all right, for me, for example, Manscaped. They come to me and they go, what country is your biggest country? And what age are your listeners? That's it. And then they send me a code. And then people need to use that code. And if they pay me $5,000, I need to sell minimum $5,000 worth of shit every time that they do that ad. You know what I mean? So it's like if you go to NASCAR and then you say, all right, our biggest country is America, and then our age group is this to this, and then you go, we've also got this Supercross team and it's in America, and then our age group's this to this. Yeah. Then you're like, oh, it's the fucking same shit. Like, you know what I mean? What are we sort of doing here? So yeah, I just think that maybe that's the thing people are not thinking about is, you start going to these bigger countries and then you go to Shell. Shell's in every country. It's like, we need $1 million from Shell. We need fuel to race dirt bikes, blah, blah, blah. You need fuel for all. Yeah. And then you go, we're going to Australia. We're going to the Middle East. We're going to... And I mean, dude, hit up fucking, like, there's crazy countries over there. It's crazy. Well, like, if you're going to those places that they've never had this sport, like, surely there's people that are there, like, that
can connect with that sort of stuff.
People just need to start thinking, like, thinking globally instead of just thinking locally. And it's a fucking tough sell. And how much competition is there for that time in America?
I don't know. Fuck. It's kind of it's aggravating for me, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. But back to it, like you said, it's another spot for 40 more people. Yeah. So if they can get it to where people can have more money, or people in the 250 class that point out, like Shane, who can't get a 450 spot, it's like, dude, because Shane's a badass rider, crazy good, but he just hasn't had that shot in the 450 class to where he can really show his potential.
Look at Joey on the weekend.
Yeah,
dude,
that was mental, bro.
Joey doesn't have a ride next year. Yeah, how crazy is that?
I think that then you double down on World Supercross.
And for me, I never knew Joey growing up. Like, he's a little bit younger, but I never really liked his personality. I always kind of thought he was
always a bit of a shithead.
Yeah. Like, I just didn't like him. But this weekend was actually the first time I've ever been able to talk to him. He's actually okay, but I think he's realized, his media presence has to change. He has to open up, and he's actually a pretty cool dude, but he's a badass motherfucker, and he doesn't have a ride. Yeah, it's like, dude, he just podiumed in outdoors last year. He got multiple top fives. It's just like, how does that make sense?
Well, it's a game of duck, duck, goose. Yeah, and there's a lot of fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I guess musical chairs is probably the better thing. And it's just like, you've got this crazy pool of riders, like way more riders. Like, even I think about, there's so many guys that you could say that came out of amateurs in like the last few years that they've had like a 2-year crack at it, and then they've just been nowhere. And there's like so many guys on the bottom. Like, dude, we almost lost RJ Hampshire. Like, he was almost fucking out of it. You got like Jalik Swole. You've got, so many guys that they're on the bubble now. For like, if they don't win, and guess what? Like, Jet Lawrence is winning again next year. I fucking hate to tell everybody this. So it's like, if you're on that coast, then you're just not winning. So like, if you need to win to keep your ride, don't race him. Guess what? There's going to be a lot of people that have to race him. So it's like, we need this shit. And I think that the other cool thing, so like Aaron Taney, he went and raced in the US. Granted, he's come a long way in like the last 12 months. You're not getting a chance to see him be able to like do what he did the other night. Like, he almost beat Brayton in a 450 main event, and then he beat Shane, he beat Max Anstey, like he beat a bunch of dudes in one of those races. He would have been way more in the hunt for the overall if Bogle didn't crash in front of him in the second one.
Yeah.
And it's like you're getting a chance to see that dude now, and there's 50,000 people that watched him race on both nights. They're like a fan of his. Yep. And then Shane McElrath, when he comes back next year, they're a fan of his. And Joey Savacci, and people say like, oh, but they're not going to get any of the big names. And it's like, well, you care about the big names. But the people that were in these stadiums in Cardiff and in Melbourne, that's a big name. That's a big name to them now.
Yeah. The problem is with that, with Tanti and those types of guys, and because I went to Canada and raced for 2 years, if they come to the States, it's over.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just not, it's not possible. They're better off staying a big fish in a small pond, make your money, collect your paycheck. Because if you come to the States and you fail,
you're getting swallowed up.
You're getting swallowed up and spit the fuck out, man. Forget it.
And it doesn't take long.
No, it does not take long. As soon as you have one bad race, leads to another bad race, and the fucking, everything's off the tracks. And that's why, you know, Colton Fasciotti was 6-time Canadian champ. That's why they stayed up there, because they can make money. They can just constantly make a good paycheck, and they didn't want to leave. You know, I respect that. You know, if it was me, I'd still be in Canada right now if it wasn't for COVID, racing, enjoying it, and making okay money. You know, stay where you're at. Stay the big fish in the small pond until there's enough places for you to go to where it makes sense. You know, why would you want to make, you know, let's say he makes 150 Oz here, why would you want to go to the States and struggle and make 40K?
Well, lose 40
or
probably.
Exactly. Spend money to go racing. Who the fuck does that? You know what I mean?
And does that help the sport?
No,
you know,
you're just a gate
I don't think
filler.
it changes anything.
And he's a badass. Like we saw in the night, like he can be, he can run. And I think that there's a lot more guys that can run the speed. Like I think that's like a bit of a misconception in the sport. From like if you're just a fan that watches the races at night, you see like, let's say like Bogle that's in 8th or 9th or 10th or 11th in a 450 main event. You think that he's like not fast enough. And it's like, okay, well, if it was just practice track, lap time out, him and Kenny, like,
they're neck and neck.
The speed ain't going to be that different. No. And then it's like same with Tanny, same with you. Like the speed's not the thing. It's kind of like this whole program. And there's such like a building like momentum that gets built for you to be one of those like top guys. It's like you just got to sharpen a sword for years and years and years. And I think that's kind of like a misconception people had with World Supercross. Is like, if they don't get the names, the racing will be boring. But it's like,
it doesn't matter. You can put them around in a circle and it's still going to be good racing. It doesn't matter who or what. If you're a fan of racing, it's good racing, you know? But I just feel like that for Tanti or CDR or whatever clouts, and it's a cool concept for them to get on a bigger stage. But as far as them, because I think right now the end goal is still America is the greatest.
100%.
You know what I mean? But for them to come there, it doesn't make sense. I'm the type of guy, just like, you go where you can make money in the sport. Stay where the fuck you're at. You know?
There's only so many places.
Exactly. There's
not
only
a
so
lot
many,
of them.
Exactly. You know? So it
being
is.
a 10th place guy in the States doesn't pay very well.
Does not pay.
And like you said, you know, it's like big fish, small pond. It's really hard to be a big fish in a big pond.
Yeah. No.
So.
There's only a few of those guys.
100%.
And that's every sport.
No, 100%. 100%. You know, unless you're a generational talent where you're young and you got time.
Shout out to Daniel Blair for coining a new phrase in the sport. That doesn't come around every day. Generational talent.
I came up with that.
Was that you?
Yeah, fuck Daniel. He don't know what he's talking about. No, I'm kidding. No, I just, just...
You got that trademarked?
I should trademark it.
We need to play it like fillerational talent. Like that needs to be like a butt patch that you start running.
It's actually not bad. It's got a good little ring to it.
I think we need to run that.
It's funny, but it's fuck. You get down a fucking rabbit hole here, huh? It's kind of cool.
Bro. That's what we do.
No, that's awesome.
So in the press conference, I said to Kenny, I think you need to go to these guys and ask for like $2 million. Like, because essentially he ripped up $1 million HRC contract to do World Supercross. I think he took a bit of a hit up front, but I think like longer. I think it's net positive for him because it's like Kenny's Jet's coming for that 450 ride. Maybe Sexton's not there in 23. Maybe he is. But either way, Jet's like the future of Honda.
Yep.
And then you've got Hunter right behind him. You know, like Hunter's going to point out at some point. So it's like you're going to have the dream scenario at American Honda is to have like those two brothers there.
Yep.
So it's like realistically, like there's no room for Kenny. So it's like you can keep your $1 million for doing your Supercross next year, or you kind of almost make a bet on World Supercross. He made the bet on World Supercross. He wins the World Supercross title, albeit 2 rounds, say what you will. Number 1 plate next year. You go to them and you say like, look, I know you've got a bit of money. You need me to carry this. You need someone to carry this.
Yeah.
Pay me the money. The teams are probably going to be a little bit pissed off because the teams, like you said, you know, they'll be like, oh well, you know, we're going to struggle to get there. But I think everybody, if this is me talking from my perspective, the teams should also encourage that and be like, look, we get it. And that's why I sort of said with Joey, because that's the problem, right? You pay one dude, and then you got the next dude's like, well, I'm worth at least this, and then I'm worth at least. And what about me? What? I think everybody, where it's all just like, hey, chill the fuck out. Everybody chill. Like, let's just all of us strategize really quickly here and go, if we got this one marquee dude that can literally put the sport on his shoulders, take it around the world, like you said, next year is going to be the hardest year for him. Put that bitch on your back and just be that guy, and then the teams leverage off him, and you know that's like they sort of see the value in having him there all year next year. Then you go and you just race 5 rounds of World Supercross of AMA next year. Every time Kenny gets on the box or anytime Kenny does an interview, you go like, I'm just here warming up for World Supercross. I'm just here warming up for World Supercross. I'm just here. Fuck, the optics of that are unreal. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Like, what do you think about that?
I see it from a team standpoint more than a rider standpoint, because World Supercross is essentially paying for Ken's spot to win them the championship. So Ken rode for Uriv, right?
Yeah.
Uriv didn't spend any money on Ken. It all came from WSX. How is that fair? Logistically, club gets, you know, whatever it is, a $400K for the 2-round series, or all the teams got $400K, whatever it is, and they have
That's insanely good money, eh?
Yeah, but it goes down every year from there.
Yeah.
And they have to take that, and then they got to go get their riders. Okay, so a team gets Kenny given to them, paid by the series, and then they still get the other money.
Yeah.
To go get 3 people. And you're getting, like I said, a generational talent of Ken Roczen for free on your team. How is that kind of fair?
Yeah.
It makes it that goes against the grain of what World Supercross is, but I get what you're saying. They need Kenny. They need these guys to keep it going. It's hard for a team to piggyback off Kenny when Kenny's not on their team.
Yeah,
it's easy for the Honda guys to sell because they already got Kenny. But how does a Yamaha team use Kenny to sell their product and their marketing?
Yeah,
it's kind of like fuck.
That's a good point. I wonder if there's a way where, so like in Live Golf, they basically, like, you kind of get this like sign on.
That's funny you say that. Live Golf, World Supercross should be paying the riders their contracts.
Yeah.
And then just let the riders have and develop their bikes and have their own mechanic and fucking go.
Yeah.
I would be down with that, to where
instead of like doing the team thing.
Instead of doing a team thing.
Yeah.
You know? I think that has a way better value than anything else.
Of it just being like riders contracted to the series, and then you almost instead of having the team.
And then then the WSX does an evaluation on what your worth is. This is what you make X. Boom. You go racing. They carry your crates. You go with your mechanic, your crew chief, your rider. Boom. You go get your personal deals, and you're on your merry way.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool way to go about it. You know, that way there you can pull Kennys and this and that and whoever the fuck you want, you know, instead of giving the money to the team and the team getting, going to get a Phil Nicoletti or a Joe Blow or whoever to ride for them, or someone doesn't know who they are, allow WSX to actually compete against, I don't know, the American manufacturers and go pick them. or GP guys. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, because I think that we're in such like we're in a unique position in our sport, and it's been the thing that I've said the whole time where everyone's like, oh, they need the manufacturers to get behind this. And I'm like, bro, I have a race bike.
Yeah,
like,
it's so easy to go. I mean, Ben knows. It's so easy to build your own bikes.
What would
nowadays.
Chad's bike be worth, you reckon? Full retail. Yeah, and I mean, you're getting most of the shit for free.
I don't know.
Give us a number.
40, 50 grand.
Fuck all. Fuck all.
In the grand scheme of things, it's fuck all.
Yeah.
Well, you can. I mean, the parts are so good these days. You can build.
You don't need much.
No, not for super.
A piston ahead, a little
Especially in a
ECU map.
450.
Yeah, it's like, well, what do you need?
Yeah.
I can hardly handle a stock 450 as it is on a supercross track.
Yeah.
You know, like, dude,
That's not saying much.
No, well, that's true. That's very true. But you don't need it. You know. So I don't know, but I think that would be the way to do it. Just go rider to series, have your contracts, do your values, and if you want to do 3-year deal, do a 3-year deal. You want to do a 1-year deal, do a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
I think Adam and the boys, that's the way they should go about it, because then they can get people they actually want to deal with.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I wonder, like, because I haven't thought about it in that sense, and I know that they're like pretty locked in with some of the teams.
Yeah.
I wonder what the.
I'm sure that they have thought about doing just individually. I don't know why they went the team route. I'm not really sure, but yeah.
I wonder if like Kenny is like the championship wild card for next year, and he's not on a team, and then he does get paid direct by them. And then it's like, well, this is what he's worth to the series, and then they do like one other wild card spot, and then it's basically then the teams like none of the teams are out, because that is kind of like Yariv claims a world championship off, like he just literally got given that guy, and if Kenny was on a KTM, then I probably would have gone to, well, not that MDK.
Yeah.
I think that's just like a weird like luck circumstance, but you're right. That's probably like the sticking point for those guys.
Yeah,
I think it was still a lot of work for Yariv though, because
100%.
Obviously Kenny's coming from the factory team, and then getting on a privateer bike, and so
you still have to dedicate the time and the resources to it. There's no doubt about it.
You're just not out of pocket that big salary.
100%.
That's
a big.
I mean, that's the biggest
chunk.
that's
a big that's a big whammy. You know?
Especially for a guy like Kenny.
But I think for Kenny's like legacy in the sport, like we don't talk about it enough. You know, like these guys that have like this, you know, the legacy in every other sport, you really hear that kind of talk. And I don't know why it's different in our sport in that sense, but I mean, imagine being Kenny, like, this is me, the storyline guy of, you know, getting to talk about the sport. It's like, that's a fucking dope legacy, you know? Like, maybe you didn't get that 450 Supercross championship in the US, but it's like, to be responsible for taking the sport globally, especially when you're a guy that came from Europe and you had to, like, grind your way to the top in America. Like, it just doesn't seem like there's a better story for Ken. You know, I'd rather, like, if you looked back and let's say the World Supercross Series popped off over the next 10 years and it did become a huge success, like, fuck, you'd want to look back and be the guy that did that. You know, you'd think that would almost count for more than winning an AMA championship. You would think.
Yes and no.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, like, well, and the American Supercross is like the, you know, still the pinnacle. But if it took off to the point where that just become a legitimate series that gave 40 dudes a spot for the next X amount of years, and like you were the one guy that stood up and went and did it, I kind of think that probably does count for more than one, because I don't think anyone ever doubts that Kenny is good enough to win a championship.
Oh, no.
Like, you know, I feel like, you know what I mean? There's no asterisk next to his like ability to win one. I think he probably should have won one. You know?
You don't win 2 outdoor 450 titles not being a fucking badass.
Be a world champion.
Yeah, like, come on. Give my left nut to have that, you know, like without a doubt. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I just want more money for the sport.
Yeah.
Not for me, because it's going to be past my time, but for the next 12-year-old kid that's coming up. I just want it to fucking change.
Yeah.
Why do I have to have all these battle scars and this and that, doing something I love for not a whole lot of money?
Yeah.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
It's fucked. And it's not only that, but it's the medical bills. It's everything that comes comes along with it.
You sort of live a life as well. Like, you'll live a life now with pain. You'll live a life with like constant, like, this sport will constantly leave its mark on you way past the retirement day.
100%, you know, but and in a sense that's cool, but a sense as a bank account number, you know what I mean? It's not that cool. You know, it's just like, you know, when you look at the NFL and MLB and all this stuff, it's just like, you know, their toll to rock and roll is far less than what mine was, or anybody else that lines up on the gate that's been in the game for 15 plus years, like myself. Like, dude, it's a fucking grind, you know. And if I wasn't smart and kind of save some money and make good relationships with my own personal sponsors, I would have been out a long time ago, you know. And for myself alone, when I was a kid, 18 to 21, if I didn't have my own personal sponsors that had nothing to do with the sport to keep me funded to keep racing, I would have been fucked. Yeah. You know, there's actual people that helped buy my bike so I could keep going because they saw something in me, you know, which is awesome. Without,
you're just a fucking good dude. I think people want to help good people too, you know.
Yeah, but there's still got to be some sort of, and there was no ROI on anything. There's not me paying them back for what they spent on me to do it, you know. Dr. Maresca from St. Lawrence Radiology, Thomas Fitcher from NFAB, like, dude, those people supported my cause for a long time, even when I was making money, you know. But there's a lot of kids that don't get that chance, that do have the talent to be able to grind, where they just need an extra 4 or 5 years to make money. They don't get that chance.
Now, if you don't make it in the first 2 years, you're spit off the back.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to me. But I was fortunate enough, like I said, to have somebody help fund me to fucking crawl my way back up. To get there. That shit doesn't happen. I was the one in a million to be able to have that happen. So, but it shouldn't be like that.
And then you think about, especially if you put the hours and the work ethic of that you've put into motocross into something else, you're getting paid, bro. You know, like, if you put that into a construction company, or if you put that into some a fucking car wash, you know what I mean? It's like the money that you'd be seeing now with your brother out of the car wash versus the shit you make is in motocross for the hours that you do it. You know, it's just like, and I think that
my 2 investments that I've done in the last 2 years, I've made more. They're worth more now. If I sold them tomorrow and just walked away from them, I'd make more money than I've made in the last 10 years. Yeah.
And it's like, that probably shouldn't be the case to something that's being seen. Yeah. Like, it's, you know, it has like this global audience, you know. And I think that's one thing people don't think about is like your opportunity cost. So it's like, what else? Yeah, you're doing this thing here, but to do this thing here, you've had to give up so much other shit in your life. And it's like, at some point you want to be paid for that, you know?
100%.
And then I think it goes back to like that cultural thing of like, people then get, all you do is think about the money. It's like, bro, that's life, man. Like,
it's I don't know anyone that goes to work for free.
Exactly. You know, like, it's,
well, dude, go walk to the Supercross track and you'll see a bunch of fucking people that go to work for free. You know? And like, and that's the problem.
And I tell people this all the time, like, you know, like, oh, you complain, you're riding a dirt bike for money. That's fine. Come here, and I've said it on the Pulp Show. Let's duct tape your hand to the throttle, okay? And I'll give you, to get, I think, 5th place in a 250F main event, I think, in the past is maybe $1,500. Yeah. Don't quote me, give or take a couple $100. What
ain't gonna be too far
away. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna duct tape your hand, 2nd, 3rd gear, okay? We'll put you at 12,000 RPM, and you go around that fucking Supercross track, man, and let me see where you end up. Okay? And see if that money is worth the medical bills that you put up, you know, that you got to pay for at the hospital. It doesn't make fucking sense. But the problem is, our sport is a drug, and we love it, and the fucking adrenaline, it's like no other.
But it becomes this thing where it's like, dude, even for me, my whole life has been motocross.
Yeah, mine too.
To the point where, like, I never had I wanted to be a pro racer, but I never at one point was I like taking it seriously to do that. I just knew that I wasn't going to be that guy. Yeah. But it's like, I never looked out of the sport for another career. Like, I wanted to find a way to make my living in the sport or around the sport, because I fucking love this shit, you know? But then it's like, at a certain point, you turn around and you look back and you're like, well, I've done nothing else.
Yeah.
So what else do I do?
Yeah.
Like, these are my skills.
Yeah.
This is my trade. And I tell people, you know, when I started the podcast, like with my parents, are like, I come home, I was 30, I had no fucking, literally no money. I had 2 cameras. I had that camera and I had the one that's filming Ben. And I came back with fuck all. These 2 microphones, that red box. And then like my parents are like, well, go get a job. And I'm like, what fucking job? What do you know what I mean?
I know.
Like, this is my trade. This is what I've spent my whole life doing. I know this sport. I've been in this sport. For a rider, like, I mean, I definitely could have gone and filmed I could have filmed fucking weddings and probably made more money, you know.
Snooze. You know, like, fuck.
But it's like, for a guy like you, it's like, what the fuck do you do? Those skills don't translate, bro.
No. And, you know, maybe my 3rd year or whatever, I was like, fuck it. I think when I got back from Australia, I told my dad, I'm like, listen, 22, 23, I'm like, it's over. Yeah. I'm not going to make no money. You know, the Stroops, the Izzy's, Kennards, they were making buku bucks, and I'm here struggling to make 30K, 40K. And I'm like, dude, it's over for me. Yeah. And my dad's like, you know, I think I'm just going to come back work for the county because that's what he did. My brother does that now. And he's just like, listen, you're still young. Give it another 2 years. Just try a little bit more. Keep grinding. I'm glad I did, because I wouldn't be here today if I didn't. You know, sometimes it's just, everyone's got different fucking success rates, and that's just, that's the way it is. Some people get it earlier, some people get it later, but in the end, it all fucking equals out, you know? So.
Yeah, and I think that one of the cool things, so like, all right, let's take WSX out of the picture. And I think that if, you know, you want to shit on the series all you want, then like, go ahead, you can do that. And if you fucking hate the broadcast, you think it's whatever. But I don't remember talking about rider pay this much ever. Like, when have you heard this many conversations about guys getting money? And when has it become, you know, like Kenny at a press conference talking about money, and then Steve Astafin in the back talking about money, you know what I mean? And it's like, I think that it's been a good thing. And then lo and behold, there's an extra $7 million or whatever, 10 million bucks that came from the Super Duper Cross. And it's like, dope, but I don't know where that was. And it's like, the people like shot me back a message straight up. He was like, well, they signed a TV deal. And I was like, no, I get it. They're good.
Yeah.
Like, so there's,
they only signed the TV deal because there's competition.
Yeah.
They had to merge together. There was no choice. If there wasn't competition, why would anything ever change?
No, but it's been in the works for a long time, Phil.
Yeah.
Phil.
Phil. It wasn't the series.
You're right.
It's been in the works for a long time. I hear what you said. I know it looks bad, but it's been in the works.
I don't. Do you know how much it is to win a 450 main event from AMA?
$80.
No.
I think it's like $10,000.
It's $12,000.
Yeah. $12,000.
$12,000 to win an AMA 450 Supercross.
What did you make for World Supercross?
Me, I was cheap. I was $5,000. $5,000 around. Yeah. You know, which is nothing. But I wanted to come to do it because I still, like I said, I got my own personal sponsors. But you would have got some prize money and shit. Yeah, and prize money. What was it? 7th, I got $3,500. Yeah. You know,
for 7th.
For 7th
in the lots class.
You know, I think to win a 250 main event in the U.S. is $2,500.
So you got more for 7th than.
I think so. Yeah. Which is mind blowing.
Yeah. It's insane.
Mind blowing.
What'd you get at Cardiff?
15th. I still made $1,300 or $1,400. Yeah. You know, plus the show money, of course. Which for one day racing, it's just like, oh, you know.
Then you get to travel.
Yeah, get to travel. Like I said, I didn't go there for the racing day. I just wanted to go see other fans and shit. Yeah. But to do the AMA stuff, it's just like, dude, what? Like, and before it.
And how much is the entry fee? Sorry.
$250 or $300. Then you got to pay for your license. It's $300, $350, give or take.
Yeah, I think it's $400 for a credential.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You know.
So you were saying, sorry, before I cut you off, you were saying to win a 450 main event.
To win a 450 is $12,000, but the way our system is, the manufacturer ends up paying the bonus. Yeah. You know, like, why is the manufacturer paying the rider and then the manufacturer is then paying the bonuses? Yeah. Why is Alpine Star, FXR, all these people, why are they paying the bonus money? Yeah. You know? It doesn't make any...
Because the series doesn't make any money, Phil. They're broke.
Yeah, I know, but You know, and like I said, regardless of WSX coming into play, I'm glad motocross in the US and Supercross have combined it. I think it's awesome. It should have happened 25 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
You know, who knows where we could have been if this happened 25 years ago. So I applaud, you know, the Coombs family, Prater, all these guys, Feld Entertainment. Like, that's fucking cool because it helps us tremendously.
Yeah.
You know, I just wish everyone could have put their guard down to expand it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the point of all of this is that, like, you need competition. And so motocross and supercross, they weren't competition for each other. They were two separate series.
Different times of the year. Like, who really cares?
And then they just, like, we don't need to talk to each other.
Yeah.
You know, like, there was no incentive for them to come together.
Yes.
So it's like, you need competition. Like, you essentially had, and, like, apart from whatever people might believe, like, Davey Coombs, I think, is one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Davey's awesome.
I don't know anybody. Anytime I forget somebody's name that I've just met, like, you know, when you shake the hand, you're like, hey, I'm Jay, so I'm Phil, and then 2 seconds later, gone.
Yep.
I think about Davey Coombs.
I know.
It's crazy. So, like, there's a guy, like, I've always, like, looked up to him just in that instance, you know. I'm pumped for A1.
And
you know what I mean? I want to be, and I want to be after. I love that shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, at some point, you have to stand up for what you believe in, and sometimes you got to talk some shit on some
No, 100%.
you know, on something that's going on in the industry, you know. So it's like, I'm not sitting over here just like hoping for the downfall of that. I'm for competition because we've seen what that competition has done, and you can say what you want, but none of this happened until this championship came along, and you need that competition. And motocross and supercross, they were not competition. They were islands that these guys were operating on, and they both got to do their thing, and there was no challenge to those things.
Exactly. The only downfall I have with it is that there is no off season anymore.
They fucked up.
Everyone wants less races, and there's more now.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Yeah.
How, with the risk versus reward, not even reward, the risk all year. It's not like NFL, MLB, where you can just go to a batting cage, you know, hit. Dude, you're riding Supercross day in and day out, outdoors, day in and day. How do you do that every day and not expect something to happen?
Dude, it's unbelievable the risk that you guys are exposed to.
You're not in a fucking sim. You're not in a car where you can just hit fucking reset. There is no reset when you're endoing through the fucking air.
Dude.
You know? It's just like, okay, fucking respawn. I'm fucking back alive.
There's no respawn,
There's
bro.
no respawn.
You respawn in the back of a fucking
ambulance on your way
or in a medevac, and you're sucking on a whistle.
Yeah.
Respawn in 6 months.
Fuck. Yeah, it's just like, come on, you know? So now we go January to mid-October.
Insanity, bro.
Insanity.
There's so many things, like, all right, we're about to go on like another hour tangent just off like this one topic. But that was the thing where, again, I almost was like, dude, stop making me talk shit on you. I want a media credential for next year. Like, I don't want you guys to think I fucking hate you. But it's just like, when you stand at a press conference and say, we have listened to the riders.
Yeah.
Like, which one? Which rider wants 31 fucking races? I'm down to be wrong.
Yeah.
But I just don't know any. And they all, like, you guys talk to me. That's my job, is to talk to these guys. No one wants 31 races. It doesn't make sense. And, bro, the mechanics. It's like, people...
It never ends.
I've seen, when I was working at JDR, crazy family disputes. Like, wives ringing team managers being like, this is a fucking joke. We've got a newborn baby and he can't come home. You miss one flight and you're fucking done for you don't see your family for 2 weeks. It's insane to expect that shit.
Yeah, and our sport is even tougher because you fly commercial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not flying on private things right
Dog
after a
shit
game.
flights.
Yeah, you're fucked. You're burning up 2 to 3 just travel days a week just flying because you're going commercial.
Taking red eyes at 4 a.m. flights.
Just so we've done it. He's done it with JGR where it's just like, you know, we've done Glen Helen and fucking pin it to LAX to take a red eye back. So the
just
boys
so you can be home.
Yeah, so they can be home. Like, dude,
just for one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, come on, and then they're back on the road on Wednesday, you know, doing the same grind. It doesn't make sense. If you could travel in luxury to where you can leave same day and go do it all, like, yeah, that's different, but we don't have the money to be able to do that.
Dude, I'm friends with Formula One drivers that fly private everywhere,
Yep.
and they're fucking burnt out.
Yeah.
Tough life, man.
So like if you're
You know?
if you're a Formula One driver that is burnt out from travel and you're flying private,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then there's like, imagine what it's fucking like.
You make your own schedule.
Yeah.
And they're still burned out.
And even then, it's
Yeah.
not fun. Like it's not
And
not
not
good
only
to
that-
travel that much.
And not only that, their hospitality is
Insanely.
better than a 5-star hotel. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You're not going to fucking...
You have steak.
They're not sleeping
you
at
have
the Holiday Inn
steak
Express.
for lunch at McLaren.
Yes,
it's
yes.
insane.
You're not in New Berlin, New York, in Unadilla, fucking, you know, in a cow pasture. It's just, it's...
They got good mushrooms
Yes.
there, though, apparently.
Yeah. Wouldn't know. But, yeah, it's just... it's fucked. I don't know. And then you see, you know, I see Sexton October 8th going quad at the Honda track, and I'm just like, fuck me, man. How do you get?
Well, that, and so this is another point. I hadn't thought about this until I was talking to Hill for the podcast, right? And I think that this actually is probably one of WSX's biggest fucking ace in the hole. You can't ride. You can't ride. You fly in on a Monday and you're doing press Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday. You get like one day to recover. You're doing press Wednesday, Thursday. Then you're at the track Friday and Saturday, and then you're out.
Yeah.
You can't ride. And guess what?
It's a great
you
schedule.
can't ride, and you can't ride, and you can't ride. So we can all fucking relax.
I know.
And we ain't doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Fly in on a dog shit flight. Then you race Saturday. Fly out on a dog shit flight. Maybe get home Sunday to have one day. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, can you imagine if I just said that 31 times in a row? What I just that 1 week schedule. Imagine if I just sit here and say that 31 fucking times. How ridiculous that would sound. That's reality. And then in the middle of those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 hours on a bicycle. 2:30s plus 2.
I know.
It's a sufferfest.
It's
The sport has just gone to this point where it's almost at like a breaking point for guys. And you see it, dude. You saw Dunge dip out early. You saw Ricky dip out early. You saw Villo dip out early. You saw Stewie dip out early. Everyone's fucking leaving the sport. Basically the goal now as a Supercross rider is to come in, win 3 championships, make all the money, retire at 27. And then guess what? You're 27. You don't know what the fuck to do with your life, like Dunge.
But you're so used to that schedule, now you're bored.
Dude, 100%.
That's because you've lived off a drug since you were 5 years old, and that drug's gone. You have withdrawals.
Yeah.
You sit there and you're scratching your neck like an addict. You know, I go through that now, even just when I'm injured. You know, but I don't think they understand the grind that goes into it.
Yeah.
They have to know it because they're going through it themselves.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
Davey's
yeah,
going every single weekend. You know what I mean? Then
Yeah,
they got
but
Loretta's and they got all this stuff. So they got it's.
But the Feld guys do 17 rounds, then they fuck off for the summer, right?
Yeah.
Then you got Davey doing
12 rounds.
11, 12 rounds now,
Yeah.
plus Loretta's. And then during Supercross, he's doing fuck all.
Yeah.
Not that they're not doing anything,
Yeah.
but like they're not.
But they're not on the
grinding
block
it.
Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
No.
And then the parts you got to go through. Like, think about budget-wise. And now I'm just thinking about, like, World Supercross, right? So, Hill gets in, and it doesn't become about being the fittest. Because now to win in America, it's like, who's the gnarliest guy? And
you have to put in time.
there's a point where that's dope. But
Yeah.
there's a point where it's also super dangerous. Like you said, you know?
And I struggle with that now because like I feel like just me myself, I feel like a pile of shit because I haven't done anything.
You've got that crazy guilt and that anxiety
Yes,
that comes
all
because
last-
you see Sexton going quad.
And last week, just sitting, you know, in Melbourne, yeah, it's cool to be there, but I'm not riding my dirt bike. I'm working in a hotel gym. I'm running, you know, but I'm not fucking riding. I'm not, you know, feeding that fix that I live off of during the week. You know, it's like I'm itching to wait to ride on Friday. You know, the States you don't get that, but I don't know. There's got to be some sort of balance. It's either you're all in or you're doing this over here where it's you're just racing on Saturdays. You know, I don't know. But I don't like the way I feel right now. I just been having beers and lattes at the moment. I feel like a pile
Too
of
many
shit.
Jim Beams.
Yeah, it's too many Jim Beams.
Welcome
I
to
feel,
my world, baby.
I feel like,
Hey, you sound an awful lot like a podcaster.
I need to get out of Australia. It's not good. So, but yeah, it's too much. It's just too much.
Yeah, so I think you're going to see guys, and this has been the question that even people that are for World Supercross, the question is like, well, who's going to ride for him? And I'm like, after the weekend, I'm like, you know who's going to ride for him? The motherfuckers that are just over it.
Yeah.
And instead of being 27 and retiring from AMA Super, like Coop next year, Supercross only. And it's just like, I'm fucking out.
Yeah.
I don't have to grind. I can go and be a badass on a dirt bike, and I can have my Friday practice, and I can dial my shit in, and then I race on Saturday, and then I fly home. And then I don't have that anxiety.
Yeah.
That because I know Kenny can't train. I know Eli can't train. I know all the boys aren't training. So we're starting to live now more like a MotoGP rider, and more like you'll probably take your mountain bike traveling with you, and then you'll probably go like, all right, where's the local mountain bike trails, and you'll do some mountain biking, and but you're not exposed to the same level of risk, and it's like you do your boot camp, you get in crazy shape, and then you carry it through.
You have to. It's not like, I don't even know how do MotoGP, this might be a really dumb question, probably get roasted. How do MotoGP guys practice? They don't, right? Period.
No, they have like super bikes that they can go ride.
Super bikes,
but like they can't ride their race bikes.
Yeah. But like us.
But even that, so Jack, like he'll go to, like after Barcelona, he rented out after Barcelona Formula One, he like went and rented the track and did like a bit of a track day. But right, he's just doing like motocross, and he loves motocross. Yeah. So he's just doing heaps of motos on his bike, and
Dovey rides a lot of moto.
What's that?
Dovey rides a lot of moto.
Yeah.
But I myself, I can't ride a MotoGP bike to get ready for Supercross. It takes some sort of sharpness and skill and repetition to be able to keep doing it.
But not 4 days a week of
not 4 days a week, but you still need 2 days to keep. You can get away with it for 1 or 2 weeks, but 3 weeks after that, you really start to lose that edge.
Yeah,
and it happens. For Cardiff to here, I'm okay with. I was able to go home after Cardiff and ride 3 days. But if I had to do that for another 2 weeks, like I'm doing, I don't.
I think you're just discrediting yourself a little bit.
I don't know.
Everyone, you're just coming from a place of that's all you've known for so long. You know what I mean? And I just think that there's guys that
might be. You might be right.
Because Kenny was shit on Friday at Melbourne. Like, he looked terrible. And even he said he was terrible. He's like, it just took me a little minute to like shake it out.
Blow off the cobwebs and shit.
But it ain't, your speed ain't changing. You as a rider, you're not changing. Like, I just think it's the schedule that you're so used to,
I don't know. When I look at the fucking finish line in the Supercross trip, I'm like, fuck, man, I wish I rode this week. Just so you get so I'm like, man, just so I got the feel, But, but it would be good just to limit those days just because,
But you can't limit that's the problem. Like, you can't limit the days in America. Because you can, and I mean, dude, James and Chad and Ricky, like when they were doing the PJs in and out, and they were just like leaving the track on pretty much a Saturday morning to get there. Like, it just became a grind fest. Who could be the gnarliest dude and the main events are set up for it, So it's like, it's got to kind of, and maybe I sound like a pussy. Maybe I'm
no,
a
you're
pussy.
not. But it makes a big difference. Like, we done it with JGR and flying on coaches plane. Even just high pointer. We've flown red eye from, Anaheim, on a private plane to Charlotte, and it's nice. Or getting done at High Point, and it's a 7-hour drive, and normally we drive after the races, and you're fucking wrecked.
That's the worst.
It's the worst, and you get home at fucking 2 a.m. in the morning.
You're not really any better off at that point.
No.
Than you would have been if you just drove home Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. But your coach shows up, you're just like, oh, I got 8 seats on my plane. Okay, you get done, load up, head to the closest regional airport, 10 minutes away, hop on, you're back in Charlotte in
45 minutes.
Yeah, 40 minutes.
Yeah,
it's like, what?
Yeah.
And then you don't have to drive an hour to Pittsburgh. You wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
TSA.
Do all the
sick people in the plane.
Man.
Baby screaming.
Yes. Like, if that could be, then it wouldn't be no problem. Yeah, sign me up. Fucking 30 races, I'll go.
So like, let's take WSX out completely. Do you think that Feld has the money to pay riders better or differently? Like, have they had this money the whole time to where they could have paid the guys more?
Of course. It's a business model. If you don't have to pay anybody more, why would you? Me, myself, personally, if I had to pay somebody more but I didn't have to, there wasn't a reason to, who would?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm just saying that. Like, I don't blame them. But like you said, if this has been in the works for years, how come it just happened, boom, when this popped up?
Yeah.
Makes, whatever.
And
but,
like, so before this series came, what would have been the model in your head that Feld should have done to like pay the guys more? Is it just more prize money?
It's got to be more prize money.
Yeah.
You know, like here in World Supercross, to where, you know, some guys don't even get their prize money here for World Supercross because they're making so much for from their teams, which I don't even understand. A couple guys are making so much money.
Who were the guys that made the most, you think, from World Supercross?
Do I have to say it?
No, you don't have
to. I don't want to, because I don't want to throw them under the bus. But they're making really good money, but they don't get prize money. The prize money goes to the team.
Which is, I think that's fine as well. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
Whereas my deal, personally, I make my prize money, 10% goes to the team, but $3,500, 10%, who gives a fuck?
That's a round of beers.
But when you make, $40 grand, you don't get that prize money. It goes straight to the team. That's kind of a big chunk,
Yeah.
But I think if there was bigger prize money to where guys could maybe just do 17 rounds of Supercross and be okay, like to make a 450 man event, you make $2,200.
Yeah, that ain't much.
That ain't much. You just go be a local coach at a track and make 10 grand a weekend if you wanted. You know, like come on. So
and I mean the other thing too that you brought up about like the manufacturers paying the bonuses. I heard crazy shit like Dunge was still getting Rockstar Suzuki checks while he was like into his like multiple year in KTM.
Really?
Yeah.
So I never heard that.
So like
I haven't heard that either.
I wonder if that pressure from the manufacturers, because it's pretty much like $100 grand a win at that those guys were getting, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah.
And I think people know that that's pretty much what people were getting, you know. So it's like, all right, so Carmichael goes 24-0.
Yeah.
Or, Dunge wins fucking 8 to 10 races in a year. So that's $1 million that Suzuki has to front on top of the multi-millions of dollars that he's getting paid to just sign on and do it. So, like, Suzuki ain't making that money in fucking RMZ 450 and RMZ 250 sales.
No, but they do it differently how they do the bonus structure. I think the first year, Suzuki did lose money on Dunge because maybe, don't quote me, maybe they didn't insure his bonuses. You can do that. So I think the first year they did lose that a little bit. But for the most part, most manufacturers insure. So kind of makes a little bit more sense, so it's not fully coming out of their pocket. But,
because I know the JDR did that. Like they insured the guys' bonuses a lot.
Pretty much every team does that.
Yeah.
But I mean, even still, like you think about the level of commitment that takes for a manufacturer. So you've got to pay these guys millions, which you can't insure their sign on. So like to be a top guy. So to be a top tier team, you had like this run of Suzuki, of Carmichael, then you had Stu, and then you had Dunge, and then no more RMZs get made or sold. So it's like that pressure for the and the series isn't paying the teams to be there. It's kind of all on the team. So it's like that model even seems broken, dude. And like for JGR to go away to be like such a crazy big organization. And then them to go away, like that's probably one of the other biggest problems we've had in the sport is like teams going away.
Yeah.
And it's like, can you imagine like the Cowboys going broke or like the Patriots going broke?
Yeah.
And it's even down to like they can't sell merch.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to say is like you're not allowed to sell anything at the races.
So
like you can't build a brand. Unless you do it through Feld.
Yeah. What kind of team? How do you make money as a team? But you're expected to pay millions. For the top guys.
Go to their Instagram account and buy it through their Shopify.
Yeah.
That's it really.
The fact that you can't sell anything from your tent, like how many shirts would you sell a day?
Yeah.
Especially if you're on a big team, right?
Yeah.
Like
I would love to sell filthy merch or whatever.
You'd sell shitloads,
yeah,
bro.
like
imagine if you made 10 grand a weekend. Easy to do, bro. Easy to do.
You can't though. You can't. You're not allowed. Which is wrong, You go to NASCAR and it's just like, they got all these.
They make most of their money off.
They make most of their money off merchandise.
Yeah,
that's where it all comes from.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it'll ever change, to be honest with you.
But maybe that, and I mean that's probably. I wish I asked Adam and Sando at WSX about that because.
I don't know the
they
answer.
should be doing it too. They should be letting them sell shit too.
I asked. They said no.
They said no.
Yeah, couldn't yet. Whether maybe next year they will, it's just maybe I asked a little too late because I asked about a month and a half before, so maybe things kind of weren't.
Oh, so you asked to sell your own merch?
Yes, yeah.
Which would be a little tough with the pits being closed.
Yeah, which that's another thing I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, let's talk.
Yeah, because the pits are closed. You can't.
Yeah,
you don't
need
see
somebody.
Anybody. That's the one greatest thing about our sport is that fans can walk up to our tent. Mechanics, Ben might not like it when they're asking for plastic and shit, but at MotoGP,
just give them the plastic spray. You got heaps, all right.
Yeah.
It takes nothing to put. It takes nothing to put stickers on.
Yeah, like our sport is so tight niche that the fans can actually come up and see me walk around.
Yeah,
they can see Jet. They can take pictures. I can take pictures, give the birds with normal people.
Yeah.
People that do that in NASCAR, F1, MotoGP, you're not getting anywhere near anybody.
Yeah.
No.
Fucking forget it.
It's hard enough to get into a MotoGP pit if you know somebody.
Yeah. Like fucking forget it. It's not happening. That's what makes our sport awesome, that the fan can literally be right there, use their cell phone, take their own picture with their own fucking hand.
Yeah.
That's priceless.
Yeah.
You know? World Supercross could not do that.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I had people blowing me up on my Instagram wanting to take a picture.
Yeah.
I'm not walking out into that stadium to go find this picture people and
dude, it was actually hectic too.
Yeah.
Like when you walked out there, it was fucking nuts. Even for us.
I went up to watch the 450, man. It was hectic out there.
Yeah. But those people deserve to be able to see us right there. I don't know how they can work that, you know.
That's what I was just thinking. Like, I don't know what Cardiff was like with the
pits are too small. Like you couldn't open them to the public. It'd be chaos.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able to move.
Yeah. That's because even at Melbourne, because the concourse, like they've got the concourse level at the top. Yep. So if like the pits were out in public, I actually don't know how you'd get to the track.
Yeah.
So I think like that's the problem. I think with some of the stadiums that they're using, the stadiums are fucking epic. Like how epic is Marvel to be able to like we rode Lime scooters from our hotel every single day. Shout out to Lime. And like, you know, so it was so sick. But even you can't get down there. So I don't know whether it's like a logistics thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I agree with you.
For me myself, because I feed off of that, and that's the reason why I go. Yeah, to ride is cool, but to be able to see the people and actually take pictures with them, that's the whole point of it all.
You have a cult following. So.
Yeah. So it's kind of, to me, that makes sense. That's why I flew 25 hours to fucking get there, is to see the people.
Yeah.
And for them just to see me on a dirt bike, that's cool, but it's not.
But you're
same.
A squid.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, I was a squid on Saturday anyway. But so I don't know.
Did you sign autographs anywhere?
I did. No, I just did like a meet and greet up in this pub area where I could have easily got sucked into and said,
just be like, fuck
fuck racing. I really wish I was up there on the piss with all the people there, because it looked like rad time. But we did in Cardiff, you know. But there's so many people in Cardiff. They shut the streets down, and realistically, you could only get 150 people through there in a certain amount of time before people got to get out of there. You know, like, kind of sucks.
Yeah, dude, it was like, even we did a 2.5 hour, nearly 3 hour meet and greet. We're like, and it was funny, they're like, because we're sponsored by Boost.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, just sit next to Chad. And I'm like, I ain't sitting next to Chad. There's no posters.
Yeah.
I ain't doing that. So I just stood in front of the thing.
Yep.
But man, it was like, I could have stayed there even longer. You know, there was just so many people that were so fucking pumped to have Supercross. And I think that, even when you put all the other shit aside, like just that kind of made the whole thing worth it to me, you know. And Cardiff was just the same from all accounts, you know.
And I realize that now that I'm older, is that like I said earlier, the people that are showing up there are the ones that are paying my bills. Yeah. They do 100%. Yep. You know, that's the only reason why I'm there. People that go to NASCAR or whatever races, they're not buying what Kyle Busch is driving or whatever. Yeah. They don't give a fuck. They care about, you know, buying the FXR gear that I'm wearing or whatever. That's it. You know, that's how I connect with people, and that, to me, that makes sense. At 20 years old, I didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But now I understand. Yeah. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, no, it was definitely cool to see that many Supercross fans, and that those people were like getting to see races, you know.
Yeah.
And before, it was just we had to fly to America to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of people that they just cannot fly to America to see.
I mean,
Supercross.
ticket prices are through the roof these days.
Dude, it's
crazy.
insane, bro.
Yeah,
It cost me $1,200 to fly to Townsville just for Jack's wedding. It's an hour and 20-minute flight.
Yeah, that's gnarly.
Dude, gnarly.
I mean, my ticket to come here was $5,000 just to get here.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
You know, so, but to me it was worth it. So fuck it.
But if you're trying to do that with a family of 4,
You ain't doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you're not doing it.
No.
So
But yeah, I definitely, the merch thing, I didn't know that about
I can't do
World
it.
SX. That just has to get fixed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's the thing, like, I'm down to be critical of those guys too, you know, like, there's shit that needs to be fixed.
But
like,
you know, at Feld and stuff, they do sell Eli's stuff. They do sell certain people's stuff. You know,
it's not.
you can sell it, but you have to give them a cut
yeah,
through their merch
there's some
trailer.
sort of there's some sort of interaction fee of whatever it is, which is fine, but do it for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just Eli Tomac, you
Yeah.
know, which I know he's the baddest motherfucker there is at the moment, but
Yeah.
keep the playing field the same.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. Equal opportunity. Doesn't
people
mean you
wanna
have to
come
sell
by-
as much as him.
yes.
People want to come buy a shirt from you and have it signed
Yeah.
when they buy it. Like,
Yes.
that's part of the experience.
That's part of the
That's what-
experience.
that's
They don't
what it-
necessarily want your $20
No,
shirt.
no,
They want
no.
to come meet you and sign the shirt
they
when
want
they buy
it. Yeah, they want to spend the $30 on the T-shirt so they can be like, "Hey, I bought it." They stand out and be like, "Hey, you know what? I respect it. Sign it.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
your merry way."
Dude,
you know?
it should be, this is how it should work, right? You should have a quick shade that's next to the Club MX
Yep.
tent. You go at 11:30, I'm signing autographs at my merch tent. And then you've got a chick that's like, you'd probably have some smoke show chick that'd be dying to sell you T-shirts.
Yep.
And maybe 3 or 4. And they stand there, and you've got your Filthy Phil, and then
Yeah.
you've got Philorational Talent, and you've got, you know, you've got a couple of your logos, you've got some
Yeah.
butt patches, you've got some sticker sheets that you can sell.
I agree
They
with
grab them, and then they go to your line, you can sign it, you can take a picture. Bro, you get 300 shirts
Yes.
at fucking $40 a shirt. Who gives a fuck
Exactly.
what prize money you're
No,
making,
I
you know?
know.
And that cost Feld
Zero money.
total of $0.
No, I know.
And then you get fans that go home fucking pumped, man. And then that's another dirt bike that's on a T-shirt
It's-
that's walking around Subway or the, you know, the
Yes,
mall.
yes. It should
And,
be whatever happens in the stadium is Feld's, okay,
Yeah.
and on the stadium premises. But out in the paddock, okay, the team's riders should have the rights. I feel like to be able to do whatever. I just think that's somewhat something basic that can be changed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's just like money in the bank that costs no one. It costs no one but the fans to put their money where they want to put their money. You know what I mean? And you know exactly where it's going to go. And that, dude, we make money off merch, and it really helps. You know, it's like a big part of the fucking program that
Yeah.
that we put together.
Yeah. No, I think it's key.
Yeah.
It is.
Anything else you want to talk about from WSX, or while we're on the topic?
No, I think it's okay.
Will you be back next year, you think?
I'm gonna race I'm gonna race outdoors.
Oh, so you'll miss out on the thing.
Yeah, I want one last good run at AMA Outdoors to get back to how I was, 6 years ago, and kind of relight the fire. The fire's still lit, but get back to where I know, because the past 2 years have been kind of rough for me. So
Yeah.
one more year, and then maybe transition out and kind of see where we're at.
Yeah.
So-
And I think that'll kind of be the play for a lot of dudes, you know, like,
And for me, it's, don't mean to cut you off, but I love outdoors.
yeah.
There might not be a whole lot of money, but I love the fucking grind of outdoors.
Yeah.
Stroking out in the summertime. I love hammering. I do.
I just love electrolytes.
Yeah, I do.
I do not love it.
Yeah, I love being, at club in the summertime, stroking out, getting heat stroke, hammering down on little kids that are fucking complaining. Like that, I feed off that because it's just something I enjoy. And motocross is the ground roots level of our sport.
Yeah.
Supercross is not, outdoors is.
Yeah.
I'm not riding a 65 rider hammer on Club MX main track, or on a Supercross track. I'm watching them on the outdoor track fucking holding the bitch fourth gear pins. You know?
Yeah.
I eat that shit up. So they got to start on outdoors before they get to Supercross. So
Yeah.
I think it's badass.
Well, I think too that's kind of like, I made that video that said like motocross is the one that's on the chopping block or whatever.
No,
and it's like in a sense they're the one that they might lose out on a couple of top tier riders, like let's say
so
in that sense. But I'm like, in my opinion, that's not a bad thing, right?
No,
because Amart is out of the sport now. He's a fucking G, bro. Like, that guy's such a savage.
Yep.
You know, Amart. There's guys that, like, they're not going to make it in Supercross. And then, guess what? If they don't make it in Supercross, you don't even get a fucking shot at the outdoors.
Yeah.
You're not going to get good equipment. You ain't going to get shit.
Yep.
And then you're probably just looking at retirement, which is like Amart. That dude can ride motocross for years longer than he's got in him.
Yes.
But now, because he can't ride 450 indoors, he don't get a shot at riding outdoors. And that's kind of the thing that everyone's missing. It's like, dude, if some spots are freed up for motocross, I ain't mad at it.
I know.
It's going to give guys like yourself, it's going to give more people a chance to, and I think I was sort of trying to get to this before, but I ended up fucking going a different direction. But it's like, I think people honestly thought that you'd have like World Supercross, and then it's like, oh, Kenny's the only fast guy there, so then he'll basically run away from the pack and lap everybody. And then second place, if it's like Joey and he was 12th in a Supercross main event, then he'd be like 12th place distance apart from him, but in second. No, it's not how it fucking works. And it's like, then let's say 5 guys go out of motocross. That just means that's like 5 positions up the track that you are running that pace. So it's like, no one suffers here. There's still dudes that are going to be, it's the same fucking sport with the guys that are going the same speed. Yeah, you've got your outliers that are going to go it and they're going to break away from the pack. But it's just no different. And it's better. It's better. We get an Amart that stays. Imagine you guys get a chance now. You get guys going, all right, I'm doing Supercross only. I'm doing motocross only. And then you get Amart that can spend all year grinding at motocross, and he comes to round 1 just ready, dude. He is a savage. You get a chance to go and just be a savage. Your bike is dialed in, everything's dialed in. That sport is now better.
Which, I mean, Amart's over it, he's retired, he ain't doing nothing, but like for him to ride a 450 in the States is a lot harder, yes. But if he wanted to do here at World Supercross, he would have had no problem. Because it's more tame. I think he would have had a blast doing it, you know? There's just a different concept. But as far as outdoors, if he was to skip outdoors, or Supercross and then just do outdoors, he'd be pretty badass. But the fact that you do 17 rounds of Supercross and you get this shit kicked out of you and you take hits, you come into outdoors and you're behind the 8 ball. You know, even though you've been riding and racing, you don't have the time logged, and it just fucking, like I said, as soon as the fucking train gets off the tracks just a little bit, it's over. It's hard to get it back on. So I really think that motocross is kind of like better off for guys that, you know, there's seats that open up in a sense for guys that just get to put in a full seat, like a full outdoor prep. And, you know, like the same boot camp that you'd put into Super, you get to put that into moto. It's like, I actually think that you start to see a better series, because like, you're right, motocross can't go away, and it will never go away, because that's the shit that we all grow up doing. And I just honestly see this as like a little bit of an opportunity in a sense. Little Harry Joe his family's not going to take him to a Supercross track, teach him how to ride. It's not happening. You know, they got to go to the local track, which is somewhat dying a little bit, to teach him how to ride. You know, then that's just the way it is. But I mean, off tangent, I mean, it's still amateur racing at a whole is at an all-time high. Like, you know, I went to Loretta's last year. I should have went this year just to kind of like check it out. But there's more people now doing those races than ever before, whether it's because there's actually more people or more older vet guys that are going down doing one class with the big rigs. But dude, I've never seen so many people at Loretta's. Normally it used to be lot 3 or area 3 was the farthest place. Now there's like area fucking 8.
That's insane.
You know, it's insane. And then you look at the GNCC at Ironman.
Did you see that picture this weekend?
Ungodly amount of people. Like, the sport is thriving, you know, and it's badass, and that's at a motocross level. That's not at a Supercross level. You need that. Like I said, those are the fucking people that pay the bills. You know?
No, I completely agree.
You have to have it. So, but
think about how many people go GNCC racing. Like,
Dude, I want to do one when I get back over
You're
there.
a fucking shot.
I would love to do one of those things, eh?
I would. I'd like to do a 2-hour one, not 3.
We do 6 and 8 hour races here, but like it's a team deal.
Oh, okay,
So-
kind of like relay stuff.
Yeah, bro, it's so much fun. They're called Transmoto races. We did one a few months ago. It was like a freak, like it was like a natural phenomenon of like this place that never gets rain, and then they just got like, and like it's like angels pissed on the track for a week, and it got these ruts in this riverbed. So they had like this big riverbed that just had this like black, thick loam with like black sand mixed in with like the perfect amount of rain, and it was just going like up. And then into the bank, and then down, and then
kind
up,
of like half
and then,
pipe-ish
dude,
style.
just like a half pipe and this thing went for like 20 minutes, and then
That's badass.
So there was like 14 minutes of the loop was that kind of trail, and then single track through trees. There was like no dust, and then you kind of got like a rocky section. There was like this big bog hole you had to ride through, but the ruts in this one section, it was like flow state riding because the lap was so long. You just got into this crazy flow, stand up on the pegs, no hands on the brake, no hands on the clutch, and just bore up the whole bro. And the ruts like curled over, and you had to be standing up and leaned over just to
That's
not
actually
have.
pretty badass.
It was the most insane shit ever, and it went
That
for
is
8
rad.
hours, and then you do a lap, and it's about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you just give your transponder to your teammate, and then you go. But by the end of the race, me and my brother were just like, "Fuck this! Let's just lap this thing." And no shit, I'm not like the fittest dude. I'm definitely not the gnarliest dude. I couldn't lift my. I'd never like when I got off the bike for one of my last laps. I couldn't even lift my arms up, and I still went out for another lap. It was that fucking sick. Those races are amazing.
Yeah. And how much did it cost to do that race?
Oh, I think it's like $600 for a team.
Sick.
So you got like 3 people. It's like $200.
I think that's why I think GNCC crushes it, because I think it's $50.
Yeah.
Dude, what?
$50, right?
Something like that.
Yeah,
It's
and
pretty
you go
cheap.
ride for 2 hours. And not only that, but like let's say you're double A, whatever, you go at 10:30 a.m. Do your 2 hours, you're done. You can go home.
Yeah. That's so sick.
You're not showing up at the moto track 8 a.m. practice, sitting around till 4:30 in the afternoon.
Do they do any team stuff, or it's just like one?
Just individual stuff. Yeah. But I mean,
I know tons of families from back home that go do it.
Yeah. And then we have these series now, J-Day races and stuff. Like it's that sort of stuff I think is thriving, you know. And then again, at the amateur level, I still think it's thriving because everyone's the next James Stewart, you know. But I think it's pretty cool.
Well, I think that guys like Osborne doing his GNCC races, and then Coop went and did local races. I think people are really starting to realize. Like, I was so locked in on moto as a kid. It was just all I wanted to do. I just wanted to do laps of a track. And I mean, I still love that shit, you know? Like I said, every single weekend, I'm going and I'm just doing laps. I fucking love it. But nowadays, I'm so much more into, as well, like just the global scheme of things, like doing these Transmoto events. And like, we just did 11-day ride from Cairns to the tip of Australia, and it's like,
that would be rad,
dude. 8 hours a day on the bike, like just doing big Ks and wide open. Like, we were doing speed runs, like 150 Ks an hour, just fucking holding the thing wide open, the fenders flying everywhere, and it's like dirt roads where you got corrugation and you're in bull dust, and it feels like you're on a carpet. You know what
just
I mean?
sliding around. I think
that kind of stuff's fun.
I mean, we've done it. We've went up to the mountains, and I have more fun going to a local Wednesday night ride with my boys than I do at a Saturday national, you know. Like, I don't know, there's just something about it, hanging out, and that's why we all do it. Go there, have fun with the boys, crack a Coors Light afterward, and have a couple,
talk shit to each other.
Talk shit to and on
yes,
each other.
Exactly. That's literally why we do it. You know, so
I think that shit's coming back too. Like, I
think so too.
I think we're all better off if that stuff like really makes a heavy comeback too.
And that's kind of like Coop came to Charlotte and is, you know, stupid back to the roots tour or whatever he was calling it, but that's what it was. We just did local rides and hung out and seen average people, and it was That's what it's about,
Yeah.
you know? So it kind of brings you back to reality on why you really did that. You just got to remember that in June when you're in the fucking dog days of summer to be like, all right, wait, why am I fucking doing this again? You know, so.
Yeah, that's like Sealy was saying that even he's like, all right, I'm coming back for racing and it's just fun. And then he's like, I was miserable for most of Cardiff. And then my wife was like, fuck, dude. Like, I thought you said you were going to have fun. He's like, oh, that's right. It's like that, what's that Family Guy thing when he's playing golf? He's like, this is fun. We're having fun. That's literally what it's like.
No, it's unless you're doing good, you ain't having fun. I don't care who you are, whether Sealy's been in or out of it for, you know, you're still competitive. That's just the fucking way it is.
That's why I got into it in the first place, right?
Greatest sport in the world.
Dude, this year's outdoors was I think that reminded us all why we fucking love this shit. Like, that was so hectic, and like the level that Tomac and Chase were on outdoors this year was just straight up ridiculous.
Yeah.
I not bragging, but even when I've gotten 8th, 5th, and 6th in the 450 championship, okay? I'm not tooting my horn, but I still think that's okay.
That's really good. I will give you that.
I feel like after watching those guys this year, I'm like, dude, I think what I have done is a complete waste of time compared to what those two did.
You can barely ride.
Yeah, I can barely ride, you know? And I've had Tomac go by me like I've been fucking pinned to the wall, you know? This year, I think if I was out there doing the same thing, I think I wouldn't have. I'd look like I was C class compared to those guys. Yeah. I went to Ironman and I watched those guys, and they were gone, Chase and Eli, compared to Anderson, Dunge, AP, and those are badass fucking guys.
The baddest.
Bad. And it was just sad to be like, okay, those guys are on another level compared to those guys. And Anderson just won 7 Supercrosses. Yeah. And I'd never heard YZ 450 more wide open in my entire life when I walked the infield of a outdoor national. I'm just like, fuck, it's crazy. Eli was trying to literally snap his fucking throttle cables. Like, he was trying to snap them, and I'm just like, dude, I don't even belong out there.
Well, that's like when he was on that 23 and I think like Swap or someone.
Oh yeah, Paris.
Dude,
yeah, I know.
Play that shit, right? Dude, it's just like you'll have to turn it up on the box.
Yeah,
the red
he's just
box,
fucking wide Clyde on a fucking meteor ride day, and I'm just like, dude, he making the bike look like it's a YZ85.
Yeah, I'm like, are you sure it's a 450? Prove it. Walk up to after he's ridden it and show me the fucking cylinder head. Show me the bit where that's actually a 450.
Dude, and I had the same thing at Cardiff.
Yeah, let's listen.
Yeah, like this. Like, dude.
Turn it up.
I can't even watch it because it makes me mad, you know?
They look good, huh?
They do look good.
Will you be on one of them next year?
Yes, I will. We're supposed to have them here pretty soon.
I think I'm just gonna buy one.
Yeah?
Turn it up.
Dude. No, the guy's just a sicko. But doesn't he make the bike look small?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even... I mean, compared to the bike he's riding now. Yeah, like it's...
They needed to do that. That bitch was fat. Some like them thick. I don't know if we need them that thick. I'm all down for a thick girl, but that bitch was thick.
Yeah. The track looks super fun to ride, too. You know? Yeah. The dude's a nut job. I mean, even at Cardiff, I'm just like, dude, are you kidding me?
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like the physics that are at play there. Even the thing that's gnarly as well is, yeah, there we go.
Dude.
Oh my God.
I wonder if he's just out there trying to blow it up. He's doing R&D testing, you know? Yeah. The dude's a sicko. There's no doubt about it.
I just fucking love it for him. You know? I'm so glad that we got to see this dude do his thing. It shows you how capable a stock motorcycle is too, by the way.
That's like, what more? And what's mind blowing to me is, you know, you need what's mind blowing to me is you need a license to go buy a street bike and ride it out on the road or whatever. An average Joe can go buy one of those things and rip around in a cornfield. Like, what?
That's what I tell people.
How does that fucking make sense? How can an average person that doesn't know how to walk and chew gum at the same time go buy one of those fucking things and be like, yeah, I'm fucking ready. Let's go.
You're not ready.
No, you're not ready. You're not ready. First gear is going to own you. So it's just, I don't know.
I'm like the world's top selling 350 fucking ambassador. All I do,
350's awesome.
All I do is I'm like, hey,
350 is the greatest machine I think ever.
Anyone that talks to me, why the fuck don't everyone make them? That's like the bike that you get when you're not that dude.
Yeah.
Because no one should have a 450 that's not that dude. And like I didn't have my 350 because we were doing like a build thing on it at the start of the year. So I stole Sammy's 450 and it had some good suspension on it. And then there was like a little part of me for like a few seconds that was like, dude, actually, maybe I can ride a 450.
Yeah.
And then it got rough.
Yeah.
And then I was just like,
then reality.
I'm going home.
Yeah. Reality sets in. Like, yeah.
I was just like, fuck. Okay. Yeah, no, this is what it actually is. And then I did the Stark launch in Barcelona. And then that thing is ridiculous, by the way. Like, that's going to change everything pretty much. Yeah, 100%. And then I went straight from there and we went to Manji. And then I got on a gas 450 at like one of the gnarliest tracks in the world. And bro, I was like, just fucking like, I could not ride a dirt bike. And then by the end of it, I ended up in the last moto. I just pulled off and sculled a Jack Daniels and did a fucking burnout in the dirt because I was like, this is unsafe for me. Like I actually shouldn't fucking be here. Man. And it was the difference between 100 cc's. If I was on my 350, different story.
Yeah. Just the power delivery. I think, at an amateur level, 16-year-old kid doesn't need to be riding something like that. You know what I mean? I think now they're starting to learn that they don't need to ride stuff like that. Back when I was in A class in 05 and stuff, you needed a 450. But now, like the open classes at Loretta's and stuff, most of the kids just ride 250s. Yeah.
Well, the 250s are so fast now. It's
I mean, when you think about it, 250 now is faster than PC race bikes back in 07, 08. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even comparable. So, I think those things are a problem for the average Joe.
They have no business.
Yeah. When I think I don't even belong on one of them, and I'm just thinking of,
you got fifth in an outdoor series on a 450. You're like, that's too much.
On a JGR 450, FYI, if you put wings on it, you would take off. But it's mental.
Yamaha, what are you doing? If Yamaha made a 350, like that 250F motor, that's probably the best stock motor of a dirt bike I've ever ridden. I've ridden a bunch of bikes. Like I've been riding, I got on a 250F when 250Fs became 250Fs. So I've literally ridden like every generation of those bikes. That Yamaha 250 is ridiculous. Like it doesn't make sense how good that bike is. Imagine if they just added 100 more cc's to that bitch. That is a dreamboat.
Yeah, that is too. Yeah, I don't know.
And it's KTM's top selling bike.
The 350 is?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's their top selling motocross bike. You cannot. They're
just so easy to ride.
Yeah.
You don't have to ring it out like a 250, but it's not like gonna.
It's got the torque, but the nimble feel as a 250. Yeah.
Because that's the thing that I noticed, like riding the Stark bike, is that the 450. And that's the thing that I always just didn't like. I just didn't trust them when I was on under acceleration. Like it just seems like a lot of this going on, and it's just like I ain't that good to know what the bike's going to do. So I'm just going to play it like super safe and just like not use the throttle. And then like when you get on the Stark, there's like so 450 mid turn, and it's just like bop. Bop, bop. Everything you're doing, it's like fucking trying to stand you up. And the Stark just doesn't have that. And I feel like that's what you get on like a 250 or a 350 or a 125 is it's just not fucking trying to stand you up all the time,
That's interesting. I've never ridden a Stark. I've ridden one of the Altas, and I about died on one.
What happened?
Coop's bachelor party. Remember we were out there?
Yeah.
Garrett had one.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And I don't even think it was on full power, but I forgot I was on an electric bike, and I come out of a corner and I hit the gas like I was on a normal bike, and I was pointed to the sky. I was literally pointed to the sky, and I'm like, oh shit, this is it. Dude, the power that they had was crazy.
And the Starks were like way more than that.
Really?
There were dudes that, because they got a 60 and an 80.
Yeah.
And there were dudes that we only got to ride the 60, so they didn't have the 80 going there.
Ah, okay.
And there were guys, like I'm pretty sure watching like swaps videos and stuff, they turned it down to like 85% power. So probably around like 50, which is pretty much 350.
Wow.
So like my 350 has like 55 horsepower. So it's like they were turning it down even then, but like they're so sick. And in the air, like you'll pretty much never go over the bars again, because
if it just dies, it dies.
Nah, well, the panic rev that you give on a dirt bike, you hit the rev limiter, and the wheel only goes so fast.
Yeah.
The Stark's got no rev limiter. You
So
can
it
go to
just
top
spins.
speed, so you can literally just be like it's crazy. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like if you were going over the bars and you had the presence of mind to shift into like fifth gear and hold it wide open.
Yeah.
But you don't.
So a bit more rotating mass in the rear to keep it down.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. This might sound another dumb question, but it doesn't lock up. So if it just dies, it just dies mid-flight, right?
Yeah. Like it's not like an engine can like
lock up and pitch you forward,
No,
right?
no.
So then if it does die in a transition, it just dies.
Yeah.
I kind of like that concept a little bit. I'm already trying to picture like how it would be. All right, maybe I got a better chance of surviving out there.
Yeah.
You know, back to the KTM though. Fun fact: I was the first one to race that in a Supercross Montreal.
A 350.
Yep.
What did you think of the 350 racing in Supercross?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I raced in the 450 class, obviously in Montreal, 2010. Casey Letta was KTM team manager at the time. He's just like, hey, opportunity to go up race in Canada. You want to go ride a 350? I said, sure. They gave me 250 suspension, put it on the 350, and the thing was a fucking dream.
That's so sick.
It was awesome. Like, to this day, one of the best Supercross bikes I've ridden.
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah. 450 is a lot when you're kind of pinballed in between hay bales and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
350 is just enough to where it's just like, okay, kind of fun, but you don't feel like you're on a death trap.
Yeah. Dude, I can't imagine riding a 450 in Supercross. And at the speed that you guys are going, it just seems like not the move.
Yeah. They're not, to be honest with you, I don't think they're as fast as what everyone thinks they are, because they get pretty deep. They're fast for the start, don't get me wrong, but then once you shift out of start mode, I think they're pretty usable.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that whole argument is a little bit overhyped?
I think a little bit, yeah. Like, I mean, Ben knows.
I'll
like,
take your word for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think
There's so much electronics now that
yeah,
you can
exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you can delay, retard timing from 25% up to 30%, almost like you got your clutch is completely smoked coming out of
Really?
corners. Oh yeah, it's kind of wild. Yeah,
So-
what you can do ignition timing and everything it's pretty crazy.
So what do they do? So you think that the guy, so like a 450 outdoor bike would be way faster than a 450 indoor bike?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's going on there? Just like mapping? Because I actually thought about that the other day. So we're out riding. I was doing like that some coaching stuff with BT. We made like a video for our channel.
Yeah.
And fucking legend.
Yeah, I love it. Townley's rad.
The man.
He's awesome.
And Brock Flynn was out there, who's a local racer here. He fucking rips. And he had this practice bike that has like 140 hours or something retarded on it. So, and he races a 350. So they actually dropped the rev limiter on the thing so that it couldn't grenade on him, so that he could keep like
Really?
practicing on this fucking beater. And but I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, maybe I need to do that because my bike is fucking fast.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a rental cart, and then you can just hold the thing flat.
Yeah, I mean, technically, that's what you can do. You can delay, throttle positioning all the way up to a certain percent or whatever you want, and you need the right guy to be able to do that for you. But it's all capable.
So what are the top guys doing now in that sense? Do you think these days?
Depends. Like the factory teams, most of them are using factory ignitions.
Yeah.
From Japan, and then some of the other teams are using Get ignition or Vortec ignition.
Yeah.
And it just depends, like Phil said, who you have tuning it. But if you have a guy that knows what he's doing, the possibilities are endless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Dean Baker, when I was at JGR, the stuff that he can do with my Get ignition that I had was unbelievable. I mean, me and Barsha, I don't know how many starts we've pulled. I mean,
It's a lot.
Yeah, a lot just from advancing timing, takeaway timing. But it's crazy what they can do on shift points and everything like that. I don't know. I'm just a dumb motocrosser, but we had shift lights and start map lights to where we rev it to at 8,500 RPM. It's wild. It's a lot more goes into it than just fucking pulling the clutch in and going, letting it go, dumping the clutch when the car goes sideways.
So the like a bike like what Ando would be on, or maybe Eli's different though, because it seems like all the reports you hear is like he wants the most power out of all the other guys. But so you would have some Supercross guys that are like they're needing everything out of it, and they're like retarding the ignition a little bit.
Yeah, I think if someone was to ride Eli's bike, which is as much power as you could possibly get, but he uses every bit of it, versus Kenny's, I think Kenny's is quite slow.
Yeah,
really?
Yes.
Kenny sounds like a vacuum cleaner.
Kenny's, I think all Hondas sound like the vacuum cleaner, but I've heard from a few people, Kenny's bike, maybe they've ridden it, maybe they haven't, but it's slow. But Kenny has so much corner speed and momentum. He does not need. He doesn't need
just
the
way
power.
he rides.
Yeah. He doesn't need a fast bike, so it's kind of wild to think about.
Remember when he's on RCH, they went back to stock outdoors.
Yeah, that's true too.
Stock like bike.
Yeah, pretty much it was a stock bike.
Yeah, because I heard that he went away from like the factory suspension. He went away from like all the factory shit. Went in 16.
I think they went back to like stock wheels and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
It makes sense. Like, look how fucking good that thing was, because I think that you can, and it was one thing that I can't remember who I said it with, but it would always blow my mind that you would be, it was when I was talking with Sleater, and then that new Honda came out and you saw Kenny just ripping the fucking bag out of the thing at Star West. Yeah. And it's like, that's the first time I've seen a guy really testing a stock bike, because it's like, and I think it was like Coop at KTM or something, where it's just like you fly in day one on the job, you sign the contract, and you're just on a race bike, and then you don't even know the motorcycle at all. So it's like, where do you go? You from that point you can go up, down, left, right, side.
You have a base.
You got no idea of like what that stock motorcycle is actually capable of.
It's kind of how it should always be. Start with stock and then start adding parts. Yeah. There's been a few guys that I know, even myself, you kind of get lost in the sauce, because you don't have an actual base point stock. That's kind of what you need to go by, Then you slowly start adding clamps, races, subframes, seats, pegs, whatever, linkages, one step at a time. So, because you get on a factory bike, you could be fucking any way to Sunday and you don't even know which way's up anymore.
And
and that's happened a lot in the last couple of years with some people. Oh man, you can see it, and but you gotta wonder too, there's got to be a part of it where, and like this is kind of valid, where it's like guys need jobs. There needs to be a suspension guy, there needs to be whatever guys are in the shop that are kind of doing it, and you wonder how much of it is coming down to like guys just needing to justify their job, because it's like, if stock's fucking good enough, then how many mouths does that cut off?
I will debate that.
I'm open to it.
We can't run stock on what we do. It can't withstand. Motorcycles aren't meant to do what Eli does on a dirt bike. The hubs, the transmissions, all that sort of stuff, literally physically cannot handle it. The whoops, the rhythms, like, dude, it's not happening. And there's a lot of stuff that does break that you never hear about, on race teams, out at the test track. Transmissions, chains, hubs, sprockets, that shit fails. And it happens a lot more than what people think, know? And if that was on stock, it would happen a lot more, So it's kind of
some of the stuff you change is a safety issue more than it's a performance issue. Like if you're putting stronger hubs on, stronger foot pegs, like it's not necessarily a performance thing. You're just trying to get some durability out of it.
When you think G-forces, when you're going 3-3 quad, just on chains and it's fucking wild. And you look at a chain, it's just like, man, that's not really that thick or whatever, or hubs, and it doesn't take much for something to go wrong. So that's why you're not doing that on stock stuff. No, completely. I'm also meant like a guy going like, oh, we've got 25
cam options.
Yeah.
And we've got
yeah.
35 triple clamp options. You know, you've got that.
Yeah.
But that guy kind of like, he's a full-time employee of a race time.
Yeah.
So
100%.
it's like, but then you give all those options to a dude where it's like, let's just run stock, but let's just make it stronger. Let's like make this bitch billet, and then let's fucking, or let's use it every, like replace it every time. You know what I mean? Because there'd be so many guys that it's not like they're justifying their job in a like that's not a negative sense, but it's like they got to do something. You know, when you're kind of on the payroll, so it's like. How many dudes get fully lost in that whole program of like a guide that they just get given all these options, or starting on something where you're like, all right, well, this was the bike that Dunge won on. Because I've heard people, like I've got a friend that rode Kenny's bike, and he's come back and was just like, dude, how the fuck he rides that thing is insane with like his suspension setup. Where it was just like, it is so whack that I cannot believe that that's the same thing. And I think it was Christian Craig was on Honda at the same time, or like it was like he rode Christian Craig's bike as well, and was like, bro, that bike was a fucking magic carpet. Like, I could not believe how nice that suspension was. So you've got two guys were, and you've got one dude but that was his deal. Like that was his setup, you know. And it's just like, bro, that ain't the fucking move.
No.
So it's like you can't then start at a factory bike and go, hey Coop, welcome to KTM. This is the bike that you're riding. I just don't think that works.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I think some teams try that. You know, they'll do. You know, I know Geico was like that. They kind of had packages. You know, A, B, or C, and then you kind of take A and C, and then you work off of which one you like better. But if you leave it to a rider, I'm just saying this for me, if they don't know, because a lot of them don't know how to test. They don't know how to feel anything. I feel like I'm pretty good on that end of things. It might be a flaw. I wish I didn't know. I just went out and rode the fucking thing. But some just don't know. You know? Like, some can just be out there on a fucking flat rear tire, literally flat rear, and not know it. They're thinking, man, I'm just sliding around out there. You look down, it's like, man, your fucking tire's flat. You know? I mean, just use that as an example, but some just don't know. You know? But I think for me, that helped me growing up, you know, just in the days of two strokes and shit like that, and jetting and all that stuff, and I don't know, just self-awareness, you know. So should I change my mapping, you reckon? Should I fuck with that, like get a lower RPM? Like, what's the sweet spot RPM you think that, like, let's say, because I got the Vortex on there, like, it all depends on what throttle position you're talking about. I don't know, like, so you're changing it at different throttle positions? Yeah, you can at a factory level, you can change it different throttle positions. Then what about with Vortexes? Do you know what you can do with those things? Same thing. Yeah. I think it's Vortex is a little bit harder. You know, Vortex sponsors our team, but I've spent a lot of time with Get because of JGR. JGR is actually super nice because it's actually got a digital RPM. What do you call it? It's like a tachometer. They call it a GPA. Yeah, or GPA. You know, it's like 1 through 9. And each one is more delayed. You know, up to a certain percent throttle, up to let's say 20%. Makes a big difference. So if you're on a super hard packed track and normally your baseline is 3, you can go to 7 and it's just like you know, versus you know. It's a huge fucking difference. So what would you look for out of that? Like when you had that level of like option available to you? It's just, for me, so then it's a funny story. So I rode JGR Yamaha for a long time, and then I left JGR and I went to Factory Husky. And at JGR it was always like a fire breathing dragon, whole shots, this, that, but I didn't know any better. It was always ended up being kind of super hard to ride for 2 40-minute motos. Then I went to Husky, and I'm like, man, things mellow, super power, super, the delivery was really good. And I'm like, man, I didn't need all that power. 65 horsepower to just rip a start or whatever. It made it easier, don't get me wrong, but it made it easier on the Husky at 28 minutes. You know? And then from then, when I went to Canada and riding Yamahas again, I kind of, you know, I learned and I kind of, you know, changed things around a little bit. So I don't need some, at 250F you need all the power you can get. At 450 you just need something that's smooth and manageable that you can ride for 40 minutes as hard as possible. Not 20 minutes. That's I remember being at the test track when Dunge was
doing his thing, like 12, 13, 14. And you could barely hear his bike. Like, he was barely on the throttle, but he was also barely on the brakes.
Yeah.
Like, he just was like, whoop,
Yep.
whoop, whoop. And, you know, there were corners where, well, I'd talk to him after, and he's like, I use the brakes twice on a Supercross track.
Yeah.
And it's just like, damn, dude, like, that is great. And then when you think of that level, like, you don't need that much power.
Yeah, I think Dunge and Kenny, riding styles are completely different, but I think overall bike mapping power is somewhat kind of similar.
Yeah.
You know, they're not, there's not many Eli's in the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of look for the smoother power delivery.
Yeah. What was Chad like with that?
He just likes a smooth, like, not, he, like, when he rode Yamaha, they did a bunch of detuning on it.
Yeah.
Like, through the mapping, because it was too fast. Like
Yeah.
you said, it like almost unrideable.
Yeah.
So our bike's pretty basic, honestly. A piston and a cam and some mapping, and
Yeah.
it's really good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think. That's probably like one of the cool things about like 450s, but then even just the sport in general is like you could be like a crazy competitive privateer. I think that people definitely have it twisted, I think, in from the outside in of like, you need to be on a factory team. You need, like, you definitely, I guess you do to be on a 250 to then get to the point where you're like competitive on a 450.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you don't need to be on a factory team, but as long as the team that you're on has really good budget and unlimited parts. The unlimited parts is what comes down to. You can't stretch parts, especially on practice stuff. That's where shit fucking goes wrong.
Parts and good people.
Yeah, parts and good people are fucking priceless.
Yeah.
So, and once you get on teams, lower budget teams, and they start cutting corners with that sort of stuff,
that's when shit breaks and you get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so, but as far as like, you know, on a factory team, you know, even being JGR and Husky and whatever, like there's so much stuff that you can change that you can't with, you know, instead of doing sprocket stuff, you know, sprocket changes, you do primary gears.
Yeah.
You know, like it's that, then your chassis length always stays the same. And it just makes it, that stuff makes a huge difference. You know? So it makes it always feel like you're on the same fucking bike.
Is that one of the fun bits about being a factory rider though, like to get to work on that, or is it kind of just a punish?
Maybe for him to work on it, because I can't wrench on anything. Well, I do okay, but I like it because I never had that stuff growing up as a kid. So when I finally got to it when I was 25, I kind of understood it a little bit more. When you get it when you're 18, you're fucking young and dumb.
You don't know any
different, you know? But after you kind of been through it all and then you understand like what that part actually does, you can kind of look for it out on the track. It makes a big difference. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, I just think that nerd factor, like, it's probably like an underappreciated or like an under leveraged part of the sport in a way too. Like, we don't really talk about. I mean, we got the science of Supercross.
Yeah.
They don't show you anything good on there.
Yeah, but like I feel like we don't really know that much about, you know, the stuff that kind of does go on.
Yeah, like on a 450, you'll have a longer first gear. You know, like you can JB likes a longer first gear because, you know, on a 450 in a main event, dude, you're cutting down super tight in corners and it's like an outdoor national out there.
Yeah.
And you need first gear to be able to seat bounce 3 in.
Yeah.
You know, on a 250F, you know, on the Suzukis, we had a longer second gear just to give us that extra little bit coming out of corners. So it's kind of a give or take. You don't get that on a production-based model, you know, or on a normal team or a regular team.
Yeah.
But you hopefully that stuff eventually works its way down the pipeline to the new YZ450.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it. So.
Yeah. It's all those little things that you don't ever see or hear about that make the factory where you have just so many more options.
What's like the coolest shit that went on a bike that you wrenched on or you rode?
Fuck, I think it's all pretty badass. I mean, we did a dual injection on the YZ450.
Yeah.
It made a thing like I mean,
some of this stuff is like you wouldn't believe how like it rigged up it is just to test it.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like we rigged some shit at JGR to make just to try it.
Yeah, just the how do you even call it, to read the shock when it would the data for the shock or data for the forks, and just like being able to pull up and see that data on a screen and you're like, holy fuck. And then you bring that data, like Johnny Oler, who was our suspension guy for a long time, and you bring it to the NASCAR side of things, and they've never seen that sort of velocity on forks and shocks before.
Really?
Because their stuff only moves this much. Our stuff is moving this much at a serious rate, you know?
Like when you're slamming into a face of the jump in Supercross, like the speeds are unbelievable.
Like, it's kind of wild. That's why our sport is fucking insane on how it is. Like, people don't even register that, you know, so it's pretty cool. But I think that sort of stuff, I geek out on all the data stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's pretty badass to do. So
like when you slow-mo some of the videos we take at a test track, and you see how much like the forks flex, clamps flex,
well,
like,
you know, just from filming and stuff, you know, like you can see it, like swing arms going this way, subframes going the other way, like, dude, it's insane. And then somehow the chain stays straight. It's like, dude, what?
We took one of those Phantom Flex cameras to the KTM test track one day, and the level, like the PSI in the tire, like you've got the tire pumped up to like the perfect level. That shit's like bottoming, almost bottoming out on the when it hit like whoop to whoop, you know.
Some more than others.
Some more than others. People don't understand that. Like, there's a thing, it's tire roll in transitions, you know what I mean? You might think it's suspension, you know, in transitions, but it could be actually your tire rolling, making your forks feel soft. Or you can go from 12.5 psi to 14 psi, and it takes that away. You know, there might not even be something wrong with your fucking chassis. But you send your chassis guy on a fucking whirlwind thinking it's his fault. You know? So there's a lot of dynamics that go into it. So
this is the level that suspension flexes too, especially on like those whoop shots. Like you can just see so clearly, like this like the whole bike is literally
like the front wheel's getting pushed underneath the bike because it's up from the flex.
And every bike's different, you know, geometry wise, and you know, Yamaha is somewhat, I don't know if it's steep or what, steering angle, but then they have races, you know, triple clamps move the wheel in and out, then you get races that kind of kick out, you know, the wheel and changes the trail a little bit. And it's just like stuff like that normal people don't even understand, but you know, where it's on Eli's bike or my bike or whatever, just makes the bike that much better. But like you said, you do all that stuff hoping later down the line it ends up on a production bike so a normal person can feel it. So
I think I was thinking about it the other night when I was watching, just like kind of on the floor watching practice. And so in MotoGP, the ignition is changing corner by corner based on the GPS of the track. Now it's different. So Jack had at the first round this year, his GPS got lost, so he was coming into a
full throttle when he should have been.
There's like this little chicane and he's in this chicane, and it's what you guys were saying with like the RPM, and he's going bah, and the thing's going
lighting up on him.
Their bikes are so sophisticated, like
crazy, dude.
And we could do a little bit of that, but you can't really do it in Supercross because we race in so many domes.
And
the dirt's changing, like it just doesn't work.
I wonder though, like this is what I thought about the other day, like the ignitions and all that sort of stuff. It's probably too complex for to be just every weekend you'd have to go map the track GPS wise. Like it'll just be a nightmare. Whereas Le Mans is Le Mans and it ain't changing. Phillip Island is Phillip Island. It ain't changing. But imagine if we had electronics in the suspension to where if you just mark the whoops out every single weekend, then you could GPS to where every time you came into the whoops, your bike just fucking locked up. And like you just had this shit so stiff that it was like that. Everyone would be James through the whoops. Because if you set up to have that speed through the whoops, then you're giving up every bit of feel that you could potentially have out of your bike on any other part of the track, you know.
I like how you say, like, oh yeah, if you had James set up, you'd do it. I ain't fucking doing what James did. You can give me his setup. There ain't not a chance I'm in those fucking There's no way. Like, fuck that. I'm out. But yeah, there is. They do have that, but Ben made a good point with the GPS and stuff because of the domes. We do run GPS, you know, on higher level teams, and you can kind of pinpoint, you know, when they pull up data where it's at, what throttle position. It just makes it easier versus being on a team, club's not there yet, obviously, to be like, hey, in this corner here where they can actually go there, what lap, what time of practice, to be like, okay, yeah, I see where it's at. Then they can move the needle.
Yeah.
It's
JDR had, Vince Barini?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Vince was he was at PC.
The little French guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
He worked for the Cali
gotcha,
team.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He's at Triumph now.
Yeah.
Primo?
No. That's John.
Dude, he's at Triumph now?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So JDR, I'm pretty sure that's why there was like a bunch of problems between JDR and KTM. But they were developing their own electronics that were fucking gnarly, dude. And so they had like crazy levels of data that were coming out of the bikes, to where, like, I remember there was one, it was Joey, where he was like, I'm wide open going into the whoops, and Vince is like, you are not fucking wide open. Just like, he's like, look at the fucking fully
you're
just
35% throttle.
And he's like, and then he pulls up Malcolm's bike. He's like, this crazy motherfucker is wide open coming into the whoops. Just like, it was the best shit. But they had that, like they had that data, and that was in like 2012.
Yeah. That's when that stuff started coming around in the dirt bikes.
Yeah, because
Renee's told me a bunch of stories from there.
Yeah. Because I didn't get it till about 2014 and stuff, and then when I first went with those guys, and then I'm like, fuck, this is awesome. Awesome.
It's cool. And like, you can get lost. That's another place you can get like lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
But like, dude, there's some stuff where it's crazy fucking handy to know that shit,
But you got to have someone that knows how, because
you can fuck it up
really quick. You need somebody that really knows what they're doing inside and out. If you get someone on there and you kind of see that they're a little sketchy and they don't know, you're like, hey, fucking X out of whatever you're doing and put it back. Yes, and go back to where you were.
Just close the computer.
Yes, just stop while you're ahead.
You've got your own stock ignition in your bag.
Yes. Stop what you're doing before I headbutt you. Like, it's not going to be good. But yeah, you could fuck it up bad.
The problem with Supercross is the consequences are so like one little hiccup and
it's over.
It's over.
I mean, look at Chad.
Yeah.
Cardiff. Like
doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't take much.
Would that suspend, like, if you could set up your bike to have like one set of suspension for no whoops and then it's switched for the whoops, would that actually be a positive thing, or is it
not really?
So there's not that much of a trade-off these days.
I don't think so. Not really.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit, just for the way the bike pitches and stuff like that, and rebound, etc. But
it's not like when we went to Monster Cup, we made drastic changes from
exactly.
Supercross.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's not like people go to Paris and they're just running a setup that has a no whoop setting.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. We've, off tangent, we've tried Daytona settings where Johnny's built's kind of like a hybrid, to where it's just like a little bit softer and stuff like that, but because it gets so rough. But it doesn't work because the transitions and the G-outs are so stiff. You have to have the hold up. You just got to deal with the fucking square edge chop and kidney failure. So it's just like, that's part of it. So
you just got to Supercross whoops and piss and blood.
Yeah,
it just
it kind of comes hand in hand. So, yeah.
You wonder though, like, where the sport can go tech-wise though, because it's just such a storyline in so many other sports, and I don't know, and I realize for every one of these conversations you can just play both sides just as easy, and it's like, well, it'd be cool for it to go all tech, but then what about the privateers, and then it becomes about who's got the best bike. So I get it, but just purely we're just sitting bullshit, and it's like, where can it go? Is it even cool if it does get better in that sense?
But I think, as far as that, the privateer to factory deficit has went from this to this.
Really?
Yeah. I personally think so. Definitely in the 450 class. 250 it might be maybe half that, but it is a lot closer now. Like, clubs,
stock bikes are just so good now.
So good. Like, we're not, Club MX, for example, is not Star Racing Yamaha. Like, Star obviously still a little bit of a better bike, obviously, but Club is, I don't feel like they're that far off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas back in the day, if it was 2007 and Club was going up against a pro circuit, good fucking luck. You know what I mean? That window has drastically changed, and people like Jamie from Twisted and stuff like that have done
he's a G.
He's awesome. has really fucking narrowed it down. But those people have come from places like Mitch and stuff like, so you know what I mean? It's all, they've all learned and been around the block, and, you know, it's not like they just fucking popped out of thin air. So it's pretty cool.
Random change of topic here, but kind of in line, talking about the privateer deficit. In Oz, in the 250 class, you can race a 252 stroke.
You can in Canada too.
Really?
Yeah.
Canada, eh?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, but it has to be a bone stock 252 stroke. It can't be a works one.
You think that should be something for Supercross where privateers can be on a 252 stroke? Would that like squeeze that gap in a little bit?
I don't know that it'd squeeze the gap, but in my opinion, it wouldn't hurt anything.
It wouldn't hurt anything. It might be a cheaper
helps?
cost, but I don't think it's as good outdoor on Supercross as a 250.
Yeah.
Just, you know, when you talk about GPA and stuff like that, I think you can do a lot more with a 4-stroke than you can with a 2-stroke as far as traction and stuff like that. Outdoor, when you're kind of wringing the shit out of it, might make more sense, but I think Supercross, I think the 250F is still a pretty big advantage.
Can't you do it in amateurs? Or
no? No, you can't.
Because I feel like it's like a good way. I mean, it definitely brought 2-strokes back in Australia in a big way. Like, if you're a privateer, then you just rode a 252 stroke. They got a lot of hole shots outdoors too. And a lot of the guys did, to the point where like the factory boys like started complaining.
Yeah, I don't know.
That new KTM's pretty good.
The 300?
The 250.
The 250,
or the 300.
dude, that 250 is ridiculously
Fuel
good.
injected, like
It's mental, bro.
I wouldn't know. I haven't ridden one in a long time. The last one I rode was CR 250 in
Which was a turd.
06. No, it was okay in 2006.
Oh, yeah, 06 they were right.
Yeah, 06 they were fine. But, yeah, it's been a long time. But,
have you rode one of those new ones?
I haven't ridden one. I had a 300 XC 2-stroke.
They're so sick.
Yeah, which thing's awesome.
Yeah.
Chad rode one actually. He said it was like riding a 4-stroke almost now.
Yeah, the 300 or the 250.
I think he rode the 300.
Yeah.
Because they had the ride day out at his track.
Yeah.
For the dealer intro.
But I do think the 252 stroke should race against 250Fs.
Yeah.
It's kind of a no-brainer.
It'd just make it cheaper for the privateers. You could buy 2 bikes. You could have a good practice bike, a good race bike. Because I think there's so many cool guys that would do it too, like a Jeff Walker or like AJ Catanzaro, like
Stank
those.
Dog.
Yeah, Stank Dog. Like imagine Stank Dog being at it. Like he makes the fucking show on a 125. Like imagine him getting a chance to do it.
But how much does that change results though?
Who cares?
Yeah, I guess you're right. You know, I would care because I care about racing, but at that level.
But what would your concern be?
Does it change results? You know, if like, I mean, yeah, obviously it probably would help. Like if they went from a 250F to a 252 stroke, would that actually increase their results or just cut costs?
I think that it would probably give them a bit of an advantage.
Yeah.
But it's like because you got to think that like racing's not supposed to be fair.
No, exactly.
You know, and I think that's probably a point that like some people
lose touch on that.
Yeah.
The whole point is to have the baddest thing out there,
dude. And it's like protein powder.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, is it fair that if I'm doing weights in the gym and I can't afford protein powder or to eat like the perfect like that's performance enhancing?
Yeah.
Is it fair that someone gets to fly in a private jet and it's like at what point is it just the fucking motorcycle has to be the same? You know what I mean? So it's like I just don't think it's fair kind of to begin with in a sense.
Yeah. But
so it's like give some advantage somewhere and some somewhere else, you know.
But I always laugh at that point because it's so fucking flawed. Even at my level, I'm not. You can give me Eli's bike, and I'm not doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
You can give fucking Joe Blow whatever. They're not gonna do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
So that fucking point's out the window.
Yeah.
It doesn't even.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And it's like, is it fair that you're not Eli Tomac?
It is. Yeah. It is unfair because I'm jealous. You know. But
that's why you go racing.
That's why. 100%.
And I think anytime the point comes up of like there has to be. I guess it's like it's a bigger conversation, but you always hear like that equal opportunity versus equal outcome. It's like you got to just have the same opportunity. So it's like you get on the line. These are the kind of bikes that you can ride. If you're a factory guy, you can't ride a 252 stroke. And if you're a privateer guy, then you can ride a 252 straight. You're going to get a bit of an advantage here. But guess what? You're still a privateer. You're still in a box van.
Yep.
You're still, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have unlimited parts. It's like you kind of, I don't know, you're giving them giving them something, you know.
Yeah.
And then you get a privateer guy that might get a couple hole shots, might get to run some, get run up front.
I get that. But
to say this though, no 250 two-stroke has won an Australian championship, and it's been in the Australian. They might have won rounds. They might have won overalls, but no one's won a championship that wasn't on a 250F. And wasn't on a factory team.
Yeah, which has changed. That's crazy because in Canada it's complete opposite.
Really?
252 stroke was dominating. Yeah, Kevin Benoit was crushing it on a 252 stroke, and then I don't know, either CMA or whatever. It's just like, yeah, you're done.
Really?
It's got to be a stock 252 stroke.
Yeah.
So there is definitely an advantage to it, without a doubt, for outdoors. I just, in Canada anyway, whereas down here, going up against a star bike or a PC bike, I don't think the advantage is still there. But going back to your point, as far as a privateer, whether on a 252 stroke or a 250F, if they're good enough and they're finishing 8th through 12th, which they are, it don't matter if they're on any of those bikes, another team's going to pick them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they understand the deficits. They're not stupid.
Yeah.
You know, Bobby Reagan or fucking Brad Hoffman, they can see that, or Mitch Payton. They know who's got talent and who doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't have to win in order to have that happen. So,
yeah, that's so true. Like, you can see the dudes.
Yeah, you can see the dudes.
Got it. Yeah.
I mean, Colt Nichols, for instance. I mean, there's only a matter of time, and Colt's always had talent to where he could have enough races to where, like, okay, one podium. Boom. Just enough to fucking be like, all right, you're the next pick in line.
Yeah.
You know, so, and there's other people like that are coming along, you know, that are be the same way.
Who do you think is going to be the next kind of crop of guys that, like, not maybe coming out of amateurs, but they could get some factory rides?
Not coming out. So I'm a bit biased because I really like him. He's a pain in my ass. Sometimes I want to strangle him. Enzo Lopes.
Yeah.
He's one.
And he's been grinding for it for a long time.
He has, but there's a sense of, with him, and he'll probably get mad, but sense of entitlement for stuff, which nothing has been done. You know, he hasn't done anything yet, but that talent, that good talent is there. He just missing the mental part of it on my, you know, from what I see. And another one I think that's super under the radar that I think is pretty damn good, Derek Kelly.
Yeah, okay.
I think he's on AEO, but he's a big dude, and he was always 9 to 12 on outdoors on a KTM and just kind of grinding away, but he's young. I think in another year or two, I think those are the next guys. I like the underdogs because I've always been like that, the next diamond in the rough type of deal. So I think they can do it, you know, so.
And then how do you think Colt Nichols goes on this HRC 450?
It's a funny story with Colt. I didn't like Colt for the longest time just because I hated the fucking.
He's too good looking. You didn't
he's
like him.
One,
he's
good looking.
He gets hot as fuck, chicks. Yeah. He's hot as fuck.
He's good looking. He's got his earring. I always wanted to rip his earring out, and his hair is always fucking perfect and yada yada. But then he came for Coop's bachelor party, and we partied and had a good time. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck. Dude, I hate him, but fuck, man, I kind of like him.
You're making it hard for me, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, all right, you're cool, you know. So I think he does good. You know, he's just the injury prone thing kind of worries me a bit, but fuck, I think he comes in under the radar and he crushes it. So I think he'll be a 3 to 6 guy.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see what he can do, and when you put a guy in a position like 1 year deal. You know, like it's sink or swim. Yeah. And then you get the chance of a lifetime. Dude, what a roller coaster he's been on for the last couple of months, you know, like signs to do the World Supercross deal because he's got nothing else going on. Hasn't been paid for fucking months. That kind of surprised me when that came out.
Yeah.
Which ones? We've only had one side of the story.
Yeah.
But you know, he's a pretty stand up sort of dude. So you hear that, and then it's like, fuck, I just got to go to World Super to make some money.
Yeah.
And then Kenny gets his deal like ripped up, and then bang, you're on HRC. It's
I think,
whoa.
And I think Colt was still making pretty good money for the World Supercross thing. But at Colt's age, you can't not do factory Honda.
Who's mad at him? No, apart from Rick Ware.
No one. I don't even think.
I don't even think they could be mad at him.
Yeah, be like, all right, go live your dream and ride for factory.
Yeah, go live your dream.
Yeah, like fuck. You know, I'm not knocking you, but I think he does. I think he does pretty damn well.
That'd be cool.
Know? So
there won't be a more motivated dude either.
No, and I think his whole thing was, I don't know, just off record, not really off record, but I think he kind of was going against the grain, using different trainers. At Star, he wasn't with the Swanee crew anymore, and this and that. And I think that kind of
rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, kind of puts you on a different path from the other guys on the team. And now he's with Will Hahn, and they're kind of good boys. And I think Jordan, Kenny's mechanic, is going to be his mechanic at Honda. So I think they'll have a good little click. And as long as the vibe is good and you enjoy the people you're around, fuck, that's half the battle. Because if you're miserable where you're at, fuck, it sucks.
It becomes a real drag.
Exactly. Yep. And then, and I think those people, if Colt does have a couple bad races, they won't harp on him. It'll be more kind of, makes it a little bit more secure feeling. Yeah.
I'm the huge Will Hahn fan.
Yeah.
Dude.
I like Wilbur too.
He's one of those, there's a few dudes where you just won't hear someone say that guy's a dick.
Yeah.
There's so many people that would say I'm a fucking dick.
He's a dick. I still think Will's a dick, but
you're
a
the
good
only
dick,
one. But there's some to be able to be like, man, that fucking Jace dude's a dickhead, and that's like that Phil Nicoletti's a dickhead.
There's a lot of those that say that.
There's no one that apart from you who's also a dickhead that would call Will Hahn a dickhead.
I agree.
Those dudes are rare in moto. It's a cutthroat world, and to have a guy that's just generally loved by a lot of people, I think it's that's a testament to a dude's personality.
No, I agree. And I've been around Will, and I've raced each other since we were fucking 6 years old. So it's just crazy how the clique stays with each other all the way up through. You know what I mean? So it's kind of rad. And I always looked up to his brother Tommy, because his brother, he always rode for Amsoil Honda, well, Geico now, but Amsoil Honda, and then he rode for Factory Honda when I was trying to turn pro in 07. I was just fucking so jealous, you know what I mean? So it's kind of cool that he had that to look at to kind of guide him along, you know what I mean? I never had that. It was a blind leading the blind over here. I was like, fuck, dude. I had to learn the hard way.
Your dad just beating your ass.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't think people realize the history that guys have.
Yeah.
And just the amount of times that you would have been on a start line with Will Hahn in your entire life, whether it's local racing or then you got the nationals and then you go pro. And you're fucking the same chicks. There's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes.
Stuff runs deep. I mean, for instance, Sealy, you had him on the show. I used to, a lot of people I hate nowadays, but I used to hate Sealy back in the day. We had a lot of run-ins, and Ben was there for one of them. But now Sealy and I are cool. We'll sit there, have a glass of red wine, and talk shit on why I wanted to strangle him, But
you did want to strangle him in Detroit.
I did want to strangle.
Was it tits again?
No, we were riding it. Last lap, we were 9th and 10th, 450 main, second to last corner. Dude, who cares, 9th or 10th? He said he ducked the whoop toward the end and kind of endoed into the berm and then smashed me and blew me off the track, and I crashed. Ended up 13th. And I got top 10 bonuses pretty heavily from JGR.
Yeah.
And, dude.
Phil just saw red.
I fucking was peaking. And I got Ben on the back of my bike.
So Ben was your mechanic at JGR?
At the time, because I was kind of a filling guy. That's kind of was my role. But this is Ben. We were fucking 9 rounds deep because Bam had been out for a long time. So we got back to the JGR truck. I'm like, no, fuck this, and fucking put it in gear and fucking rode right over into the Honda truck. And dude, it was on. I was ready to strangle Sealy and Rich's mechanic, who's an awesome guy. He's from New York. I've known him for years, and I didn't care. I was gonna put my JGR bike right through that Honda rig, but it wasn't the first. And then we got into it 2010 at Hangtown. He landed on me. I kicked him in the nuts. We rode off.
You're such a dick.
We could do a whole show of stories like this.
Yeah. A lot of run-ins, but they're all good run-ins. You know what I mean? Make for good stories.
Can any of you guys actually fight, though? That's the thing.
I can hold my own. I probably can't go up against you, jiu-jitsu and whatnot, but I feel like I could take a beating.
So as a moto guy, you can hold your own.
I mean, I could
I feel
probably
like
take
a lot
it.
of them can't.
I feel like
That's
I
what I feel like too.
Well, at that point in time when I'm seeing red, I don't care if the dude can kick the shit out of me or not. At least try.
Yeah. Go out on your shield. Defend your honor.
Yeah, fuck, dude. Knock me out. I don't care. At least I gave it a shot. You know? So, fuck it. But yeah, none of us.
That's what I don't like. Respect to Weston Pike.
Yeah.
And like he could punch a motherfucker. There was some good technical shots that were thrown when he hit Vince. Jeez. And dude,
I think JB needed him on speed dial this weekend.
Yeah, JB was going to hold his own with that whole deal. But Wes is one of my boys too. We live together, and fuck, he puts on this persona. He's as bad, which he is when he needs to be. But dude,
I wouldn't fuck with him.
He's a fucking good dude. Like if I was in a bar fight and he needed me and I needed him, we'd have each other. You know what I mean? That's just the fucking way it is.
Dude, there was some times in the States where like we'd go into like we grew up like fairly rough. I think that's why I like doing jiu-jitsu, because it's not like I had way worse fights. Yeah. And like this really doesn't feel like there's that much consequences, That gets pretty gnarly, and I feel it's good. Like I feel like I'm safe. But I would go into, I think like the first time I went into Old Town ever, this guy called like this chick that I was with. He's like, "Oh, you bit right." Let's just carry on. And I just boom, and I just fucking popped this one dude, and it was in front of like everybody, dude, and like a bunch of the moto dudes were there. So then from that night, I ended up the guy's like, "Man, you can't do that in America." And I was like, "Man, at home it's like talk shit, get hit."
You sound like Myrtle. Oh, we handled stuff differently in Kalgoorlie, Get the fuck out of
fuck
here.
Off, we actually haven't talked enough shit on him. But so we that was like that one night. There were a few boys who were like, "Oh fuck, all right." I got escorted out of the front of the place, and then it feels like from then on, people would just like start talking shit when I was around. I was like, "Boys, I don't want to fucking do that again." And we're in there was Sleet at one time. We're in fucking what was it called? The Stampede.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, hey man,
doing your line dancing and shit.
Yeah, I'm like, you're pushing it too far. Like he was like literally just like pushing this dude to get in a fight. I'm like, I ain't fucking helping you. I don't know what you think that I'm gonna do right now, but I ain't gonna do what you think I'm gonna do.
Sleater's pretty face is gonna get messed up or what?
Yeah, I was just like, I ain't fucking coming to your rest. I ain't getting hit for you, bro.
I'm not getting deported for you.
And that's what it was. When I realized that you can't really do that, and then there was one time I was in Huntington Beach, and it actually was just a fight that I got in that was like, it was just one of those things in a bar, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't looking for trouble. And I ended up getting like a couple shots in on this dude, and then I got pulled away, and I was fucking like just like post fight, like it wasn't over. Like I got
that's
ripped
the
off
male
this
species though. That's just the way it is.
Red blood.
I'm with you. And if you don't have that, something's wrong.
I got kicked out of this place, and I'm on the street, and I'm still just like, fuck. I just like wanted to hit some dude, And then I went into another place, and then this guy bumped into me. This was before I did any jiu-jitsu and none of that shit. And I bumped into this guy, and I like fucking turned around, and like I was just antsy, and I saw this dude had two massive cauliflower ears, and I was instantly, bro, I went from a pit bull to a fucking poodle.
Can I buy you a drink?
I was like, literally, I was like, sorry, bro, let me get you a drink. I've had a rough night. If I fucking swung on that dude, I was straight dead, bro.
Funny. I'm with you. Yeah, but I don't think. Yeah. Most of us probably couldn't fight our way out of a wet paper bag, But you never know until it goes down.
It's the move, though. No one needs to be in
Everyone's tough with their helmet on.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude,
that's true.
Hey,
helmets punch when you hit them.
Yeah.
Helmets hurt when you punch them. I mean,
it's not ideal.
Yeah. That's why I don't. If you have a problem with somebody, go talk to them. If you're gonna leave your helmet on, who gives a fuck? What are you gonna do? I mean, they're not approved. A fist ain't gonna do nothing. I mean, geez. I mean, Weston with Freeze. I mean, he had a shoey on it. You think that Weston's left hand's going to do anything?
Nah, fuck it. That was like was one of the 'best moments in Supercross history. Though.
Got him in the back of the neck a few times.
Yeah, you want to know it's funny? So at that point in time, 2016. Yeah, 16.
Something like that, yeah.
I was a fill-in rider still. Weston and Bam were doing it. Now I'm sitting up in the Wiener Schnitzel suite drinking a beer, hanging out. That went down, and I'm like, put the beer down. I knew that night I was racing the next weekend in San Diego.
Oh,
so I'm like, I'm in.
Dude, that's
yeah. I was literally, I remember it clear as day. I was sitting there drinking a Blue Moon, enjoying it, this and that. That happened. I'm like,
fuck, I'm at the race.
Okay. I'm in. So, yeah, it was weird.
Speaking of freeze, this weekend, you know what? I actually feel like a bit of a fucking idiot too, because I went up. So I was real. Like, I DM freeze after the Christian Craig thing. Mm-hmm. That to me was like the last straw. Mm-hmm. I was fucking over it. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, and I said it to him in the message, like I just sent him a message straight away after the race because he doesn't have me blocked. And I was like, bro, like, why? Mm-hmm. Like, why the fuck do you have to be that guy? Mm-hmm. And it can't be fun for you to be this guy. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're a professional athlete and you've got a private Instagram and people can't, that's saying something. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be able to fucking interact with fans as a professional athlete in 2022. You're running a private Instagram, bro. Like, that's a fucking real problem in my books. And it's like, I've met him before. He's a nice dude when you talk to him. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it sucks for him to be that guy. And like I said before, like, every single Supercross race, I probably get like 1,000 messages from people. And then every time we post videos, there's like hundreds of and I'm going through it. Like, I love this shit. You know, I want to see what people are saying. I'm like, it's fucking, that's that's the whole thing. The barometer of like, it's where
that's
we're
what you
at,
do.
You know? And so it's like, every fucking time that dude touches somebody, I can't use my Instagram because people are like, fuck this guy. Like, everyone. And then so that's what I after that Christian thing, I sent him the message and I was like, bro, like, don't you understand, like, why this must suck for you? Like, you're living the dream right now. You're getting paid to ride a dirt bike and you're doing well, and everyone fucking hates you. And it's like easy for you to fix this. And I never went at him publicly. I even went so far, I started texting a bunch of boys after that. Before that, there was like some other shit that he did. And I was texting some guys and I was like, wait, tell me something good about Vince. And I want to make a video being like, he's actually a nice guy and people like him. And it's like, he's just kind of getting a bad rap. No one wanted in. Like, I'm not, literally not. And I was like trying, because I never want to be the guy that like talks shit on someone, you know?
No.
And then so I watched the race from the media booth, and then, so I saw the first corner, but it was like literally the opposite thing. So I just see So I just see a first-hand crash, you know? So I wasn't watching the monitors. They were behind my seat where I was sitting. And then, so it didn't really register. Yeah. So after the race, I went down there and I shook his hand and I was like, hey man, like, fuck, good on you, dude. Like, tonight was a rad night for you. Like, you didn't win. You probably shouldn't have won. But this was rad for you as a rider, because like, I think with him, what he does just comes out of like desperation. Like, he just wants it so bad that it's like he's willing to just go to these crazy lengths, and it's so in the moment and it's so out of desperation. And it's like, at some point he's going to become a good enough rider to where he doesn't have to do it, but it's like he's just not there yet. And so I was like, good on you, man. Tonight was a fucking cool night. Like, you're in the hunt.
Before knowing what
it's before. And I like shook his hand. He was like, thanks, man. And then I went and spoke to JB after it, and I was like, we were just sort of bullshitting, and then I was like, I'm kind of like pumped for Vince too, you know, to like, he was in the championship fight, obviously he was like, won't say exactly what he said, but then I was like, wait, what? And then he's like, bro, watch the footage, and like fully just,
I had no clue till like Monday.
Really?
Yeah, because we left, and then Phil was telling me Sunday or Monday, and I'm like,
because it was kind of heated down in the pits. I had to like, JB is one of my boys, you know what I mean? He's much older, but and we're
easy, bro.
We're polar opposites, but you know, kind of same. But I seen him arguing, and like everybody's kind of standing around watching, like, what's the fuck? And I knew that there was an issue, so I walked over, and it was about to go down. You know, like, it was kind of pretty gnarly. But back to your point, just off the track seems okay. On the track, I don't know what the fuck happens.
Yeah.
You know? And there could be all these excuses. Oh, my front end tuck. Savachi pushed me out. But dude,
wasn't within 10
we all
feet
race
of him.
professional motocross. We all know what really goes down. You know what I mean? In those situations, Savachi was nowhere to be seen. You had plenty of room to keep going left. you hucked a right.
He was going for Kent.
He was going for Kent too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He wanted to kill two birds with one stone, and that was the way it is.
Yeah. And you can't
you can't do that.
And I said then to go back to that Christian message, like he just was like, hey man, like this happened and I was on a different and I was like, bro, at some point you just have to own your shit. Like, you are a professional athlete.
Yes.
You're in control of a fucking projectile on the track. And guess what? 19 other dudes that are on that start line are in control of the same projectile. Yeah. And it's you. And it's always you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like at some point, like my dad used to say, you fuck one goat, you're a goat fucker.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Yeah.
He's fucked so many goats, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't need to sit here and comment on it because I think people obviously know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
so what happens?
I think something will happen because other
Something
things happen
right?
behind the scenes and on the starting lines and offering to pay. You know,
JB ain't a liar, bro.
No.
That dude couldn't lie.
No. But it's come to a point where it's just like, dude, you can't offer to pay somebody else, you know, money to do a job for you that you want to do on, you know, that you should be doing it yourself. You know, like that's kind of fucked up. So I don't know. I think it's gonna. I don't know. I think something maybe come about it. You know what I mean?
Does he get fired, do you think?
No chance.
Fired from Genova?
Yeah.
No, I doubt it.
So they're too tight.
I think so.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
But how the fuck are they going to be on the same team?
I don't think so anymore. I think it'll have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
You know? So, but I think I could see Genova going Freeze's way, you know, but I don't know. I think
that would bum me out.
I think the FIM needs to look at stuff like that because, dude, it's clear data on TV. Like, dude, no. And not only that, but I'm pretty sure Vince had they're the new spec Dunlop tire. Like, yeah, I don't even think you can get it yet. It's like, that's the best tire on the market. And you're telling me you tucked the front right there? No, dude. It was, he was going for a 2-for-1, but it really sucks. Because even on my worst enemy on the track, I'm not doing something like that.
Yeah.
You know, as aggro and dickish as I am, I'm not, it's just not in me as a person to do that, you know. Off the track, yeah, but I'm not using my dirt bike to do it, you know, so I think it's just wrong. And the Christian JB saying, like he said, that was nothing. Like, whatever, they tipped over, but it's the point. The Christian Craig thing, dude, third gear tap,
bad.
Dude,
that could have gone bad.
What? Obviously, you know, there's an inside and there's an outside, both fully prepped with a dozer berm. Dude, why are you trying to thread the needle?
Yeah,
there's nowhere to go. Who's tried that move?
Nobody.
For good
Even
reason.
the people in unseated practice wouldn't try something like that. So it's just, I don't know. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It is. So I
it's just
I
beating a dead horse.
Yeah, it
because
is.
it's not going to change.
No, 100%.
Well, I just think it's definitely like this event, especially when you've got his version of events where he says, like, I got hit by this and I got this, and then it's like you go back and watch the footage, you go, okay, well, none of what you said is even remotely part of reality. So
I mean, and JB is a politically correct person, complete opposite of me, and he was fucking fuming.
Yeah.
Fuming. Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard JB curse, and I heard him curse multiple times, it takes a lot. So, yeah, we'll see what comes about it. I think something does. Of what circumstances, I don't know. So.
That's just the fact that, dude, I don't know that you'd want that dude working for you.
Well, when you start offering people money to do it before the race, it's premeditated at that point.
Yeah.
It's
not.
It's a bummer. You know, that it goes down like that, and you can try and play it off all you want, but it's just not the way.
Yeah, at some point, it just is what it is, you know, and you've got to call. And that's kind of like what Brayton said, you know, he's just like, well, dude, you say it. You can be one guy, you know, the nicest people in the world murder people. Just because you're nice off the track doesn't mean that you're incapable of committing a crime, you know?
Yeah, like Ben said, beating a dead horse. Fuck. It'll just keep happening until something changes. That's what
Well, the problem is like who gets hurt? You know, and that was the one. I think that's why I got so upset about the Christian one.
Because he fucking cartwheeled.
He went off the track.
Onto concrete.
Yeah. We can't do that, man. No. Like, this game is dangerous enough as it is. Before you go and send people to the fucking concrete.
Yes. Trust me, we're all cool with a little bit of Robbins racing. You go in, you tap them in the apex, they tip over. But when you go front wheel to fork lug, that's an issue. When you come in like Vince did, at Phoenix, that's an issue. You can't come in from behind like that and try and think you're going to make a pass. What?
Yeah.
Logically, no.
Yeah.
You know, not possible.
So it was lap 1.
I know.
Yeah.
I know what lap it was. It wasn't a Savachi Osborne situation, you know. So
for a title,
for a title, for $500,000.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
I get it.
I get it. We all get it. You know? I would have hit Savachi harder.
Even Savachi gets that one.
Yeah, I know.
I would T-bone my mom.
Yeah,
in her
exactly.
car for $500,000, bro. Does he wear a neck brace for 6 weeks? He gives a fuck.
I wouldn't even think twice about it. Sorry, mom. I'll give you 10%. You know? So yeah, but rad.
All right, well, we just did 3 hours, boys.
That's crazy.
Shit flies by.
Fuck.
Thanks for breaking your contract with
yeah, I'm sure I'll get fined, but it's all right.
Yeah,
you know,
that's all right. Hey, Freeze, if Freeze is getting away with it, you can get away with this.
I won't. I'm not that good.
So what's up next for you?
AMA stuff. So get back. Start my boot camps started a little later. Marshbanks and J Mart have started already, and don't know East or West yet.
You'll be ready for anything, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. It was good to be back after the summer that I had and it was some dark days. So I'm stoked to be back and get back to the grind and have a good year. So looking forward to it.
And sheet metal, you're a YouTube star now, so
yeah, apparently indirectly. I'm going to V8 Supercars this weekend, and then I fly home next week and just get some stuff sorted from the trip and go from there.
Epic, boys. I loved it. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Fun. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Good to shoot the shit, so I appreciate it. I'm glad I actually got to come to Australia and enjoy the studio instead of half-assed Costa Mesa, so I got the full experience.
Yeah,
no one wants to go to California.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to. I'd rather fly 25 hours here to do it. So.
I mean, there's definitely a vibe about doing the studio.
Yeah.
Anytime I get a chance to do it, that's why I was like making sure we got it done. So
hopefully we weren't too bad. So
it's fucking sick. Not
cool. Awesome.
Unreal, boys.
All right, thank you.
All right.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.